Part 57. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 569. In addition to the Chiyu 3 Panjing, Gengkun also has a Kuai Shui divine art in his memory, but it can only be practiced to the realm of the soul. There is nothing outstanding about it, and Su Junming doesn't bother to remember it. After collecting his magic bag and several spiritual treasures in his danshan, he sealed his magic power and gave it to Kuei Niu to be taken to the White Tiger Palace for detention. After meditating to recover some of the mana and energy consumed, I came to the back garden. Plant the newly acquired 10,000 years copper coconut sacred tree. After applying a little good fortune spiritual water, the copper coconut tree instantly became full of vitality. Looking at the creation spirit island with another immortal seed, Su Junming felt a sense of satisfaction in his heart. What he likes most is collecting all kinds of immortal roots and spiritual seeds, even more than a pair of immortal weapons and spiritual treasures. After walking around Lingdao and appreciating his collection, Su Junming patted the green gourd on his waist, and a red gourd carved from coral roots flew out. Peel off the plug, and gurgling light blue Tianyi Zhen water rolls out. After these fairy waters with extremely rich water essence fell into the creation spiritual pond, they were contaminated with the creation spiritual energy and soon caused the spiritual water in the pond to rise. Feeling the increasingly rich spiritual energy in the creation spirit pond, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction and turned around and walked out of the back garden. When you reach the end of the corridor on the second floor, push the door open and you will see a huge space with a height of 5,000 feet. The entire space is divided into 3 parts by the space array. The largest part is a 3,000-foot long, purple-colored dried head, which is the head of the Great Witch of the Zhuolong clan that he obtained from Lord Huosang. The middle part is a black seed, with strands of gray aura flying from the void and disappearing inside the black seed. Compared to the size of a basketball at the beginning, the black man now has expanded to the size of a wash basin, and an astonishing vitality bursts out of it. The remaining part is a drop of golden blood, but this drop of blood is astonishingly large, nearly 100 feet in diameter. His eyes swept over the head and the black man, and finally focused on the blood. This drop of great witch essence blood contained a vast sea of life essence, far exceeding the limit that his body could bear. Su Junming suspected that the essence and blood of thousands of him combined would not be as powerful as the life essence in this drop of the Great Witch's essence and blood. With a flick of his finger, an invisible portal appeared in front of him. Stepping in, looking at the huge witch's essence and blood, he raised his right hand with a sword finger and waved it casually, and a layer of black space blade slashed across the edge of the witch's essence and blood. Strands of golden silk thread slowly fell down. Su Junming was shocked. He quickly patted the green gourd on his waist and put the golden threads away. Even though it's just a drop of blood, its strength is astonishing, and only the right to activate the space method can cut off a little bit. This is enough for him. Restart the formation to seal the essence and blood, go to Tiangong Hall, put the chopped essence and blood into the golden lotus, and calcine it with the innate cold fire. In fact, the grade of the blood essence of the Great Witch is too high, and it is basically impossible to calcine it to produce impurities. However, Su Junming is afraid that there are souls or fragments of will hidden in it that he does not know, so every time he takes it, he must first use the innate cold fire of the Tiangong Divine Furnace. Calcined for 1 year. Although I don't know if this is useful, at least it is a comfort to my heart. Moreover, in the past 100 years, I have taken the blood of the Great Witch to practice the Panhuang Sutra without any trouble. 1 year is not a long time for those who practice Qi. Looking at the blood essence the size of a broad bean in his hand, Su Junming raised his head and swallowed it. Before it could slide down the stomach, a stream of hot flames rushed towards the limbs and bones like a volcano erupting. Incomparably hot blood spurted out from every pore. In an instant, the area within 100 feet around Su Junming seemed to be enveloped in golden red flames, and the fire was surging. At this moment, it seemed that what he swallowed was not a piece of blood essence the size of a broad bean, but a dozen real dragons of the immortal level. Initially, after the strongest explosion passed, Su Junming slowly gathered his energy and blood and attributed all the great power to himself. Slowly, a golden red lotus flower made entirely of qi and blood appeared above the head. The lotus flower shines brightly, illuminating the surrounding space. As the qi and blood were absorbed bit by bit, the lotus flower that was originally only at the 11th level slowly grew into the 12th level. The moment it grew up, a perfect artistic conception spread out from the golden red lotus. Su Junming flipped his palms, sealed the excess energy and blood, and slowly opened his eyes. The essence and blood of the Great Witch is really powerful. It is only less than 1/10,000th, and it has allowed me to cultivate my physical body to the perfection of the human state. If it is not limited by force, I can prepare to go through the immortal tribulation at this moment. Thinking of this, he felt sincerely. Lord Huosang is such a good person. With this drop of essence and blood, he deeply felt that as far as the physical body was concerned, it would be enough to practice to the heavenly realm in the future. However, until the magic power breaks through, the physical body can only do this for the time being. When it comes to increasing mana, apart from the time-consuming and hard work of refining spiritual energy, the best way is undoubtedly pills. During this period, he obtained many elixir prescriptions in the Shushan world, including elixirs such as Chunyang Golden Elixir as a reference. With the help of the Bronze Mirror, combined with his existing spiritual herbs and elixirs, he finally understood an elixir that you can refine yourself. Su Junming pointed at the Tiangong Divine Furnace. The 1 Yuan Lotus Furnace is opened. A congenital white plum is used as the main medicine, 3 drops of morning dew spiritual water blends with dragon and tiger, 5 leaves of Taiying cold jade spirit flower eliminates fire, and then combined with Tiangzinko, white jade spirit mushroom, Sangzin Daiju, Ling's Hiko, 189 auxiliary medicines. After adding the medicinal materials that could be added in advance, Su Junming drew the spirit water of creation and began to refine it with the innate purple fire, which is stable and mild in nature. After spending 3 months removing impurities and brewing the concoction, Su Junming gradually added other auxiliary drugs. 192 days to join the red scale flower. 231 days to join Kongmingguo. Add yin-yang grass and moon heart grass in 304 days. More than 100 auxiliary medicines were added in different orders and dosages. Including the main medicine and auxiliary medicine, there are a total of 365 flavors. After counting the number of days, a rich and mellow medicinal fragrance finally floated out from the alchemy furnace. Seeing the medicinal gas condensing above the alchemy furnace and slowly transforming into a bright yellow ganodermalucidum, Su Junming was shocked and silently counted the time. The 365th day is the time to start the furnace. Rise. The 1 Yuan lotus furnace slowly flew out of the Tiangong divine furnace. The lotus petals opened, and the strong medicinal fragrance instantly became hundreds of times stronger. When all the lotus petals were opened, 32 pills the size of peanuts, shining with light golden light, appeared in the eyes. Next to these pills, there are more than a dozen light black, lifeless elixirs. Obviously, these are useless elixirs. He stretched out his hand and a golden elixir flew into his palm. After examining it for a moment, he raised his head and swallowed it. In an instant, a gentle stream of heat bloomed from the stomach and slowly flowed to the limbs. Compared to the domineering power of the Great Witch essence and blood before, this elixir is simply too gentle. But this is the real fairy elixir. If the potency of the elixir were really as powerful as the Great Witch's essence and blood before, he might have exploded and died before he could even enjoy the benefits. Not everyone is as skilled in martial arts and physically powerful as Su Junming. After refining, Su Junming clearly felt that his magic power had increased. He opened his eyes and nodded with satisfaction. The medicinal properties are milder and the medicinal power exceeds that of the pure yang golden pill. Let's finalize it. In the past period of time, he has practiced 5 or 6 elixirs, but they were all experimental in nature. Although most of them were successful, the properties and potency of the medicine did not meet his requirements, so it was never finalized. But this time, after changing the order of adding several auxiliary ingredients, he was finally satisfied. From now on it will be called Huangdan. With the finalization of Huangdan, the foundation of Chongshan lineage has become stronger. Huangyadan corresponds to foundation building, 3 yellow pills correspond to Xiantian, 5 yellow pills correspond to golden pills, 7 yellow pills correspond to Yuanying, 9 yellow pills correspond to Yuanshen, and human yellow pills correspond to heavenly immortals. Chongshan has all the elixirs, herbs, and waters needed for this complete set of elixirs. It can continuously refine elixirs of various grades and supply them to the disciples of the entire Chongshan lineage. This is one of the foundations for the Chongshan lineage to continue to grow. In addition to the elixirs used for cultivation, Su Junming also derived a series of different types of elixirs for healing, soul fixing, and exorcism. It can be said that the entire Shushan world, including Yimei, does not have such a complete elixir system as the Chongshan lineage. With 72 more human yellow pills, I can reach the perfection of the heavenly realm. Thinking of this, he planned to open the furnace and continue to smelt the human yellow pill. Before he started to prepare the medicine, the Dragon Emperor's voice came from the Sea of Consciousness. I'm in trouble. Su Junming frowned slightly. I'll be there right away. He didn't ask much. If this proud guy could ask for help from him, the enemy must be no small matter. Thinking of this, he stepped out of the palace treasure tree, put it away, and with a wave of his hand, the celestial elephant gate appeared in mid-air. When the Hushan spirit talisman was activated, the divine gate moved, and a vast spiritual light rose into the sky. Su Junming raised his foot and pushed the door open. The divine door flashed with light and disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he had already arrived at a broad altar. The altar is surrounded by 1,000-mile space, red, green, yellow, black, and white, surrounded by 5,000-foot-high peaks, with a large lake in the middle. In the center of the lake is an island covering an area of 100 acres. A green pine tree dozens of feet high, with stems and branches, and a cloud-like crown. Under the tree is a small wooden house surrounded by bamboo forest. The whole environment is peaceful and leisurely, with strong spiritual energy. It is really an excellent spiritual house for spiritual cultivation. Su Junming had been to the Dragon Emperor's portable cave several times. After a brief look, he was about to go out, but stopped again. If you can be less exposed, let's be less exposed. Inspiring Hu Tianshen to perform his magic, he appeared hundreds of miles away in an instant. As soon as he appeared, he sensed vast spiritual energy fluctuations in the distance, as well as the thunderous aftermath of the fighting. Looking from a distance, behind the Dragon Emperor, there are 5 lines of red, green, yellow, black, and white divine light hundreds of feet long, coming and going in vertical and horizontal directions, with powerful power. A 3-foot-sized bronze mirror floats above the head, and water-like silver light spreads out. It can not only move in the void, but also transfer Taoism. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 570. Judging from the movements of the fight, the Dragon Emperor has activated the 5 elements divine light to the extreme. The great 5 elements divine light is made from the sacrifices of the 5 elements world. It is invincible in the same realm. No monk in the heavenly immortal realm can even think of getting an advantage from this divine light. The mirror of the void floating above his head is one of the 3 low-grade innate spiritual treasures forged after Chongshan world advanced to Xiaoqian world. If there is enough mana, the golden immortal can also compete. However, the Dragon Emperor now only has the magical power of an immortal, and is unable to exert the most powerful power of this precious mirror. Even so, he blocked the two monks on the opposite side. Of these two old monks, one was wearing a worn blue robe and the other was wearing a yellow robe. The green-robed monk is extremely thin, with an old face, and two very eye-catching white eyebrows hanging down to the corners of his eyes. He is holding a string of rosary beads, and the Buddha's light on his body is soaring to the sky. His cultivation has reached the perfection of heavenly beings. I saw a slap with his skinny right hand, and a huge golden palm measuring thousands of feet was pressed forward with great force. The yellow-robed monk next to him was slightly taller, with big ears and shoulders. He was using his bare hands and his aura was earth-shattering. With a flick of his fingers, there was an extremely powerful Buddha's light, like clouds hanging from the sky, covering the Dragon Emperor. The aura displayed on his body was no longer that of a heavenly immortal, but a genuine true immortal. However, Su Junming, who had once practiced the body of a true immortal, sensed in an instant that this old monk should have just entered the true immortal. The aura on his body was fluctuating, and it was obvious that he had not yet completely stabilized his state. A perfect immortal, and a true immortal in the early stages. No wonder the Dragon Emperor asked him for help. Such amazing fighting movements naturally attracted a large number of monks to watch the battle. Who is this person? He is actually as powerful as the white-browed monk. And who is the old monk in yellow robe? He is so powerful. This monk's Dharma name is Tian Meng, and he is a great Buddhist master who attained enlightenment in the early Han dynasty. Judging from his cultivation, he has advanced to the realm of Anagami Arhat in Buddhism. The speaker was a tall old man wearing a red robe. Senior, I know that the realm of Buddhist Arhat is equivalent to that of Taoist heavenly immortal. What kind of realm is this Anagami Arhat? The old man in red robe glanced at him. When practicing Taoist Qi, there are 4 realms after becoming an immortal. They are the heavenly immortal, the true immortal, the mysterious immortal, and the golden immortal. Buddhism also has 4 realms, which are divided into Arahant, Anagami Arhat, Situagami Arhat, and Sotapanna Arhat. The man took a breath of cold air. Doesn't this mean that this old monk is already a powerful person in the realm of true immortals? The old man in red robe sighed, yes. The person who asked the question looked at the powerful Dragon Emperor in the field and said with admiration, this person is as powerful as the famous monk Beimei and the true immortal level monk Tian Meng. He must have been a true immortal level figure for a long time. You are wrong, the old man in red robe shook his head. This person is only in the middle stage of immortality. He can block Tianmeng and Beimei only because of the 5-color divine light behind his hand and the mysterious bronze mirror above his head. Otherwise, let alone blocking Tianmeng. Even if it's Beimei, he may not be able to block it. He paused and frowned. It seems that he practices the 5 elements Taoism, and his attainments are extremely profound. How come I have never heard of this person before? After thinking for a moment, he turned his head and said, do any of you know this person? A middle-aged man wearing a green Taoist robe said, Senior, this person's name is Dragon Emperor, his Taoist name is Tai 5 Virtues True Monarch, and he is the 3rd founder of Chongshan Academy. Chongshan Academy, why does the name sound so familiar, said the old man with the red envelope. Master, Su Junming, the founder of Chongshan Academy, the true lord of Chongshan, once won a battle with the god Nefenchuo in Biang Mountain. The old man in red robe suddenly realized. So, this Chongshan Academy is really powerful, and the 2 founders are both immortals. Su Junming stopped here and did not listen to what was said next. The old man in red robe has the cultivation level of a late-stage immortal, similar to him, but his magic power is not as mellow as his. No wonder the Dragon Emperor was able to ask for help. It turned out to be monk Tian Meng. In the entire Shushan world, among the masters of Buddhism, apart from one of the 6 monsters of the universe, the Xinru Shen Ni, who has already ascended, he is Zen Master Zunshen. Below them are monk Tianmeng, and his fellow disciple, Zen Masters Hegong, who is currently practicing in Qinglian Valley in the snowy mountains of Qinghai, Tibet. This monk is the reincarnation of the 47th Venerable Ajatalilogo under the throne of Kamani Buddha. He also holds the Seven Treasures golden banner of Venerable Malagapati of the Western Paradise of Buddhism. It can be said that his strength is astonishing. Zunshen, Tianmeng, and Zhigong are the strongest Buddhist monks in the world of Shu Mountain. Fenchuo, Beimei, and Kunchuo were all one step behind them. Yutan, Duji, Wuming, Yingkong are one level worse. Forget it, let's learn the magical powers of Buddhist monks today. After thinking about it, he took out the newly trained Pantuo divine spear. If he wants to compete with monk Tianmeng, he has only the late Tianxian magic power. Unless he uses the innate spiritual treasure, he is no match. But martial arts cultivation is different. Because martial arts was born out of the Wu clan's cultivation method, there are only 3 realms in the fairyland. It is divided into heaven, earth, and man, corresponding to the 3 realms of the upper, middle, and lower realms of the Wu clan. However, the witch clan calls this realm witch general, while the human clan calls this realm warrior commander. Now Su Junming is a perfect military commander in the human realm, but with the strength of his physical body, it is enough to defeat a true immortal. Take a deep breath, move your right leg back, and stretch your right arm back. The whole body is like a curved bow. In an instant, the physical body was full of energy and blood, and the entire physical body swelled. Exhale loudly. Hey! With a buzz sound, Pantuo's divine spear was like lightning, crossing many spaces in the blink of an eye and arriving at monk Tianmen's side. The latter's expression changed greatly, and his heart moved. A purple gold alms bowl was instantly blocked in front of his chest. Clang! The sound of gold and iron clashing echoed throughout the sky. Monk Tianmeng was beaten so hard that he flew backwards. A tall figure suddenly appeared in front of Tianmeng, reached out to grab the spear, and swung his arms across the sky. The air was instantly blown. Boom! The sky was full of explosions. After blocking the golden spear with his alms bowl again, monk Tianmeng flew to the ground instantly like a kite with its string cut off. The several duels were like a rabbit rising and a falcon falling, and everyone around them was stunned for a moment. They never expected that Tianmeng, who had been so at ease before and looked like a great Buddhist master, would be treated like a gopher and beaten in an instant. Not only did he look embarrassed, he was also helpless to fight back. Master Tianmeng. The white-browed monk looked shocked when he reacted. He waved his hand and flew several giant palms of golden light directly towards Su Junming. Without him taking action, a 5-color divine light flew in, and all the golden palms were swept away. The Dragon Emperor couldn't defeat Tianmeng, who had advanced to the level of true immortal, but he was still capable of defeating Bai Mei, who was still in the realm of immortal. Flying over, the Dragon Emperor looked ugly. Obviously being pushed down and beaten is not a good experience. You are late. Su Junming held a gun in his hand and did not take advantage of the situation to attack. You have to be willing to use the divine mirror of the void. You can capture these 2 monks without me coming. Although the divine mirror of the void is powerful, if I use all my strength to activate it, I will not be able to move my arms and fingers at all. Once I kill these 2 old monks with profound merits, my cultivation that I finally recovered will be destroyed by the heaven in this world. Seal. Wise men do not do this. The Dragon Emperor spoke firmly. After looking at him, Su Junming said nothing more. The reason why he was unwilling to kill Tianmeng was because of such scruples. This old monk has too many merits. If you kill him, there won't be many benefits, but there will be a lot of disadvantages. Unless absolutely necessary, he would not do such a loss-making business. After calming down the churning energy and blood, he moved his sore and numb arms. Looking at the cracked purple gold alms bowl in his hand, Tianmeng felt distressed and slightly afraid. If this body-protecting Buddha hadn't blocked the shot for him, he would probably have to go through reincarnation again. He looked up at the young Taoist who was standing in the air with a gun, and his breath was earth-shattering. He slowly floated into the air and stood with the white-browed monk. "Amitabha, who are you, and why did you do this to the old monk?" "Ha ha, Tianmeng, you are also an expert in Buddhism, how come you have learned how to beat me up now? It was obviously you who attacked my Chongshan lineage first, how come you have become my fault now?" Tianmeng's eyes narrowed, and after examining it, he asked tentatively. "Are you Su Junming, the true lord of Chongshan?" "I am none other than Su Junming, the founder of Chongshan Academy, the true lord of Taisha Chongshan." Tianmeng and Beimei stared at each other, and everyone watching the battle was instantly in an uproar. "Amitabha." After whispering the Buddha's name, Tianmeng said slowly, "I never thought that Su Zhenjun was not only superb in Taoism, but also even better in martial arts." Su Junming smiled faintly and held up the Pantuo divine spear. "You two are besieging my third junior brother, but you must give me an explanation. Otherwise, don't blame me for not recognizing anyone with the magic gun in my hand." Tianmenshao frowned. He never expected that Chen Yaojin would appear halfway through something that was originally a sure thing. He didn't even expect that the founder of Chongshan Academy would have such strong martial arts skills, which made things suddenly become difficult. "Amitabha, the poor monk is a close friend of the Imei patriarch Chenmei Genren. When he ascended to heaven, he left 2 demon refining swords, Zi Ying and Qingsuo, waiting for fate. This matter is known to everyone in the entire cultivation world. Junior brother accidentally got the purple Ying sword left by Master Chenmei. The old monk was entrusted by others and wanted to be loyal to others. So he showed up to ask for it, but junior brother refused to obey, and then the dispute started. The conversation changed. Su Zhenjun and Long Zhenjun are both great masters of the righteous way. Now they have opened Chongshan Academy, preaching and teaching, and have countless disciples. If they take someone else's magic weapon by force and spread it, wouldn't it damage the reputation of the two of them? How can we lead the right path and teach disciples in the future? Su Junming smiled faintly. "It is said that Buddhism has the ability to bloom lotus flowers with tongues, and today I have learned the lesson. Amitabha, the old monk is just telling the truth. Is it true? I don't care, but you can't just let it go when you besieged my junior brother today." "How are you doing with Mr. Su Zhen?" Tianmeng asked. "Since what happened today started with the purple Ying sword, it will end with it over there." After a pause, he said, "My Chongshan lineage has its own great treasure, and I don't covet Master Chenmei's demon refining things. Therefore, this sword will be kept by my Chongshan lineage for 10 years. Today, 10 years later, let Imei send his disciples to go to Chang'an Chongshan Academy to get it." "Do you really mean what Su Zhenjun said?" Tianmeng asked. "There are many people watching the battle here. As the leader of a sect, how can I go back on my word?" "Amitabha, if this is the case, the poor monk will inform Imei of the matter and ask you to come and pick up the sword in person 10 years later." Su Junming smiled and said, "Let's go." The two figures disappeared instantly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 571. Amitabha. "Master, are you just going to let them go?" the white-browed monk came up and asked. When he became enlightened, he received a lot of favors from Master Chenmei. Of course, he had to repay such great karma, so he has been responsible for guarding the Ningbai Cliff Immortal Mansion for many years. Now that the Ziying sword, the treasure of Mount Imei, is lost, of course he wants to get it back to understand the cause and effect. After whispering the Buddha's name, Zen Master Tianmeng said helplessly, the old monk is ashamed that he is no match for the Lord Chongshan. What can I do? I still have some connection with Zen Master Zunchen. He has achieved the state of Anagami Arhat for many years, and his magic power is very high. Coupled with the old monk and his younger brother Kongchuo, he will definitely be able to suppress the second ancestor of Chongshan. Zen Master Tianmeng glanced at him and shook his head slightly. Just now we were 2 against 1, which was already despicable. If we do it again, all the Buddhist practitioners in the world will laugh at me. The white-browed monk frowned. The purple Ying sword is a treasure of Ime. If it is lost, it will probably affect the killing of the immortals after Jiezi. Zen Master Tianmeng thought for a moment. Didn't true Lord Chongshan just say that after 10 years, he will let the disciples of Ime sect come to collect the sword? If 10 years later, he follows the promise and returns the sword to Ime, then the matter will be abandoned. If he is greedy, he will not take the sword with him. Still, I have no choice but to do this. Although Monk Beimei felt that his fellow disciple was a bit pedantic, his cultivation level was far inferior to that of true monarch Chongshan. Without his help, if he came to him, he would just end up being beaten by others. After all, he Beimei is also an arhat who has achieved Buddhahood, and he is not willing to suffer such a big loss. So shameful. Therefore, the matter of recapturing the Ziying sword can only be left for 10 years. Snake King Temple in Kangmang Mountain. Su Junming and Dragon Emperor sat cross-legged in the center of the hall. Why are you blocked by Tianmeng and Bai Mei? Old Chenmei has placed a restriction on the purple Ying sword. If a Nanime direct disciple gets the sword, he will trigger the restriction left in the sword and notify the nearby Ime disciples or the person responsible for guarding the sword. I see. Show me the purple Ying sword. The Dragon Emperor slapped the gourd on his waist, and a purple lightning bolt rushed out of the hall. Haha, in my Chongshan residence, I can still let you run away. He stretched out his hand to grab it, and the lightning trembled endlessly, but he had no resistance and was caught in Su Junming's hand. The light silver seal flashed, and the Ziying sword fell silent instantly. A 2-foot-7-inch long, lavender-colored, sheathed long sword appeared in the palm of his hand. Feel the rich innate sword energy above. It is indeed an innate spiritual treasure. Like his creation spirit pond and Tiangong divine furnace, the purple Ying sword is also a low-grade innate spiritual treasure that fulfills the 12 innate spiritual prohibitions. You want to stay? Dragon Emperor asked. Su Junming shook his head. Although the baby is good, it involves too much cause and effect, so I can't take it now. And I promised to return it to Ime in 10 years in public, so how can I slap myself in the face? Choke. Unsheath the sword. A 3-foot-long bolt of cold lightning passed through the sky. The sword energy is strong and sharp. What a sword! Su Junming sighed in admiration. Although his 4 elephants divine sword has been painstakingly practiced for many years, it is still far inferior to the innate Ziying sword. After holding a sword flower in his hand, he returned the sword to its sheath. 10 years are enough for me to understand these 12 innate spiritual taboos. By then, it won't matter whether I have this purple Ying sword or not. The most precious thing about the innate spiritual treasure is the swordsmanship contained in it. If Su Junming could refine an acquired sword with 12 innate spiritual restraints, its power would be no worse than the Ziying sword. As for the innate sword that can make people realize enlightenment, although he does not have it, he does have the bronze mirror that can bless enlightenment. Put away the Ziying sword. Didn't you already capture Gu Chen? Didn't you find King Suo's sword? The Dragon Emperor shook his head. In the deep fire of King Suo's sword, the shadow of the bronze mirror in my dungeon is not your true body after all. It cannot be seen that far. He patted the gourd on his waist, and the aura sprayed out. A tall, middle-aged man with a black robe, a fierce and powerful aura, and a thin face appeared in front of the two of them. There was a red iron chain tied around his waist, and a silver talisman was pressed against his brow. Like a statue. Is this Gu Chen? Su Junming said with great interest. If there is no second person bound by the fire cloud chain in the Kangmang mountain, that would be him, the Dragon Emperor said. Tisk tisk, Ao Tian should thank you properly. This is the first coolie at the level of an immortal. Suddenly, the silver talisman on Gu Chen's head flickered, and his body trembled. Su Junming saw it and smiled lightly. If I could break free from my sealing talisman so easily, I would have mastered the sealing technique over the years. Raising his palm, black divine patterns shone, and the phantom of a black divine gate appeared. Come. In an instant, Gu Chen's soul flew out of his body and was swallowed by the human soul gate. His whole life was presented in front of Su Junming. Xian Shuang Chen, the leader of Tianyan, Ren Shao, the white-browed needle man, and the 6 monsters in the universe, such as Xin Rusheni, etc., have all appeared in it. But Su Junming was more interested in the secrets of miraculous skills in Gu Chen's memory. There are 2 types of people who can access the path of immortality. One is the Tianyan sect's secret book of Zhen Xiao Bio scripture. The other one is the Xuanyan God and Demon Sutra. The former can be cultivated to the Xianxian level and is a Taoist dual cultivation secret book. The latter is a Xuanyan demonic art, which involves practicing the Xuanyan gathering beast banner and the white bone gods and demons of the 12 Yuan Chen. If you practice it to the extreme, you can become a true immortal. It is also the technique that Gu Chen is now majoring in. After taking 2 blank jade slips and recording them, they casually put them into the scripture collection pavilion. These are the 10,000-year warm jade lotus and the 81 Xuanyan beast gathering flags that I collected from Gu Chen. A lotus flower with the mouth of a bowl is as big as a bowl and contains rich pure yang essence, and a long black flag with 81 sides, 3 feet and 3 inches, flies towards Su Junming. Su Junming had heard the name of 10,000 years warm jade lotus countless times in the morning. Take it and take a look. Innate spiritual material. The entire 3rd grade warm jade lotus flower, which is the size of the mouth of a bowl, is all condensed from the pure innate Taishi pure yang energy, and there is no trace of acquired energy. Let's give this treasure to Chen Lin. He majors in Chunyang Taoism, and he happens to use this warm jade lotus flower to practice his natal spiritual treasure. Aren't you planning to let him use the Sanyang Yuki sword as his natal spiritual treasure? Although the Sanyang Yuki sword is good, its potential is not as good as the innate spiritual material. With a casual wave of his hand, a blue longsword and a silver needle flew into the hands of the Dragon Emperor. This Kanglang water sword is also a rare celestial weapon. In addition to these 18 white sun needles, you can take them. You will have something to reward your disciples and descendants in the future. The Dragon Emperor waved his hand and put away the 2 treasures. The Xuanyan gathering beast banners are made from the evil energy of the earth. The evil spirits inside are not in line with the way we practice Taoism, so we throw them away together. However, it is rare to use 10,000 refined iron to make the banner pole's object. Please help me refine a magical sword. It's rare that you are so positive. You are not interested in someone and plan to accept him as your disciple, right? The Dragon Emperor shook his head. It's not me. This is for Huo Wuhe. As the patriarch, I have to give you a few treasures. It's rare that you can think of this, just leave it to me. There was a pause. You have been leading the Kangmang mountain for so many years. In addition to the 10,000 years warm jade lotus, have you found any other treasures? The Dragon Emperor nodded. Really? Take it out and have a look, Su Junming said with great interest. The latter waved his hand casually, and the green gourd at his waist spurted out a vast 5-color spiritual light. Surrounded by the spiritual light is a cliff nearly 1,000 feet high, as solid as white jade, and rich in aura. The cliffs are covered with strange flowers and grasses. The top one is 3 feet tall and spreads out over half an acre. It is as big as a palm. Among the thick emerald leaves, there are green fruits the size of a child's fist. Su Junming recognized it at a glance. 1,000-year-old red fruit? Judging from its appearance, it should be 6,000 years old. It is considered precious, but for you and me, such a red fruit is not a rare thing. However, this big stone is extremely rare. It contains spiritual energy and innate creation. It is most suitable for cultivating elixirs and fairy seeds. But it is far inferior to my creation island. The Dragon Emperor smiled lightly. It seems that you sometimes make mistakes. Su Junming's heart moved and he moved the bronze mirror to take a look. Everything inside the rock was instantly exposed to his eyes. Under the rock, there is a tree root that occupies most of the space inside the boulder. The roots of this tree spread out to 500 to 600 feet, enough for dozens of people to hug it. But there is very little life inside, and it has obviously been dead for many years. But from the roots of the tree, Su Junming could still clearly sense the extremely rich innate Taishi Yumu spiritual energy, as well as the extremely thick innate Qinghua fundamental energy at the core. The innate Qinghua fundamental qi is also called the innate medicinal qi. Su Junming was shocked. This tree root was originally an innate spiritual root. The Dragon Emperor nodded. It should be an innate red fruit, but it died for unknown reasons. Its residual energy gave birth to several new red fruits. But over the years, apart from the one in front of me, the rest were discovered to have been taken away by the cultivators at Baiuya. Su Junming nodded happily. No matter how many Zakuo spiritual plants others took away, they could not compare to the innate spiritual roots hidden in the white jade cliff. Although it was already dead, he knew very well after having come into contact with several innate spiritual roots that even if the innate root seedling died, it would still leave a glimmer of hope. As long as it can be stimulated, it can be reborn again. The creation spirit water in his creation spirit pool is the perfect thing to bring this innate red fruit tree back to life. Haha, you have been in Kangmang Mountain for many years, and you finally found a valuable treasure. He stretched out his hand, and a string of water droplets flashing with the aura of creation appeared in his palm. With a flick of his fingers, a space channel the size of an adult's fist appeared in front of him. The aura of creation flew in, and then accurately covered the key points of the tree roots. Being nurtured by nature, the originally extremely weak and almost imperceptible vitality in the tree roots became strong in an instant. Su Junming stretched out his hand and slapped it, and the 6,000-year-old red fruit tree was shattered on the spot with a bang, and the pure Yumu spiritual energy was poured into the roots of the tree. After 2 big doses of tonic, the entire tree roots were filled with vitality. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 572. Kaka. The sound of cracking jade was heard, and a delicate, pink-green vine broke through the jade and grew out. The vines grow longer and longer, and the green color changes from light green to light green, grass green, and olive green. Wait until the olive green turns to brown. A small tree, 1 foot tall and as thick as an adult's arm, has grown above the rock. With this first root, there is a second root. Soon, more than a dozen branches of different heights and thicknesses clustered together and turned into a tall shrub. Compared with the thick roots in the white jade rock, this small cluster is far from the size it was in its heyday, but as long as there is enough spiritual energy to support it, this innate red fruit tree will be able to restore its old appearance sooner or later. The treasure tree in the palace sheds a spiritual light, pinches the white jade cliff, and collects it into the creation spiritual island in the backyard of Chongshan residence. Su Junming, who had received another innate spiritual root, was very happy and couldn't stop smiling on his face. He has reason to be happy. Zuguo is an elixir that can be used in almost all elixirs to strengthen the body and nourish the body. Now that I have this innate red fruit in hand, when it matures and then refines the medicine, in addition to the innate white plum, I will have one more main medicine to choose from. And compared to white plum, the medicinal properties of red fruit are more suitable as the main medicine. Su Junming didn't deliberately calm himself down, because there were too few things that could make him so excited now. However, no matter how happy the mood is, there is a time when it calms down. After half a cup of tea, everything was as usual. Bring the great five elements divine light. The Dragon Emperor's heart moved, and a five-color divine light appeared from the back of his head. It's rare that you found such a rare innate spiritual root. These things I collected can be considered as a reward. With a finger, the red fire divine light shone, like a bright snake, with myriads of colors. Activate the celestial elephant divine gate, and the red fire divine light flies into it, instantly transforming into a world of 3 million miles of flames, swiping through the air. The vast earth fire magma inside the celestial elephant gate instantly lost a large chunk. After a few more brushes, Su Junming swept away the earth fire magma collected from the two ancient fire caves of Ur Island and Zeun Palace. After absorbing such a huge amount of flames, the red fire divine light also changed from the previous red color to dark red. The weight has increased hundreds of times. Su Junming held it in his hand, like an ancient giant mountain, extremely heavy. With a casual throw, the red fire divine light flew into the back of the Dragon Emperor's head. With the innate Tai Chi 5 elements basic Chi as the foundation, the Dragon Emperor's great 5 elements divine light is countless times easier than Su Junming. After refining these two ancient volcanoes, the scale of the flame world within the red fire divine light can exceed tens of millions. With another 60 years of sacrificial practice, it can be advanced to the middle level, and its power can be increased 100 times. The Dragon Emperor nodded. Su Junming took out the coral gourd containing Tianyi divine water from the green gourd and threw it over. I got this from Zeun Palace. I kept some and used the rest to practice the divine light of Kuishui. Tianyi Zhenshui is a middle-grade fairy water. Although the quantity is not large, it can make the divine light of Kuishui make great strides forward. Later, the sacred sand channel collected from Zeun Palace was fed with the Wutu divine light, and the space in his celestial elephant divine gate was completely empty. The two of them had just finished handling the matter when a tall, green-haired monkey wearing a yellow robe and a rattan tied around his waist walked in from outside. "Master, the young master is here. Did you also use the sky to look after the door?" With Su Junming's eyesight, he could naturally tell that this big green-haired monkey was Mu Ba. "When I found Baiya, this guy happened to be born. When he saw my magical power, he knelt down to me. I thought he had good qualifications, so I brought him back to guard the Snake King Temple. After a few years, he has become quite stable." Su Junming nodded slightly. "What about the golden spider?" "Half a year ago, Xiao Shaoxin came to Kangmang Mountain to collect herbs and stopped by to see me. I gave the golden spider to her. It is a female creature and it is not suitable for me to raise it here." After finishing his words, he shouted to Mu Ba outside the door, "Come in and pay homage to the headmaster of our section." After hearing this, Mu Ba quickly ran in and knelt down in front of Su Junming. Wu Bao pays homage to the eldest master. Mu Ba is an elf formed from the spiritual energy of the armored wood in the mountains. He is naturally proficient in wood-based Taoism and contains green spiritual marrow in his brain. The older he gets, the stronger the power of this green spiritual marrow. If it hadn't been taken in by the Dragon Emperor, this wooden demon would have probably been killed by Li Yingshan, who came to Kangmang Mountain a dozen years later, and the green spiritual marrow in his brain would have become the opponent's spiritual treasure to protect him. Spreading his palms, a wooden sign with flashing light flew towards Mu Ba. "With this Blackwood order, you will be able to look after your master's home and nursery in the future." Feeling the strong inspiration on the black token, Mu Ba was overjoyed. "Raise your hands above your head, take them, and kowtow repeatedly. Thank you so much for the reward, little beast. You will practice well in the future and serve the sect through fire and water." Su Junming smiled and nodded. This blackwood token was one of the 19 spiritual treasures he obtained from the rock wall of the fire cave in the center of the Zeun Palace. He looked down upon him and rewarded him conveniently. Muba got up and stood respectfully aside with his hands down. Soon, a five-color escaping light flew over, and Zuch Wolong's figure appeared in the courtyard. Walking towards him, Zuch Wolong was stunned for a moment when he saw Su Junming sitting cross-legged in the hall. I didn't expect that the great uncle would also be here with the master. After reacting, he quickly bowed and saluted. Disciple pays homage to the headmaster, and pays homage to his mentor. After a moment of consciousness, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. Yes, you have reached the 11th level of your soul so soon. In a few years, you will be ready to overcome the tribulation. If it hadn't been for the elixir given by the master's uncle and the master's hard work teaching the secrets of the 5 elements Dao, the disciple would not be where he is today. Although his progress was rapid, there was not much complacency in his heart. Because of the Chongshan lineage, some of the 3rd generation disciples have reached the perfection of their souls and are ready to survive the tribulation of immortality. Did you come here for something? Dragon Emperor asked. Returning to Master, Lu Rongbo met his father Lu Min 3 months ago. Only then did he realize that the misunderstanding from back then had been solved by Lu Min's teacher, Bliss Master Li Jingxiu. Now the father and daughter have reconciled as before and returned to Li Jingxiu's section. A few days ago, the two of them visited together to convey the instructions of Master Gle, and wanted to visit the master to express their gratitude for preventing fratricide among his disciples. Is Master Bliss Li Jingxiu coming? Su Junming said with a smile. Returning to the headmaster, that's right. Then let him come. It just so happens that I also want to meet this famous boy of paradise. Disciple understands, let's go, and reply to the Lu family and his daughter. Etc. After stopping Zuch Wolong, Su Junming's heart moved. The palace treasure tree slowly rose from the Baihui point above his head, and a ball of milky white aura slowly flew in front of Zuch Wolong. When the latter took a look, he saw in his aura that he was holding a baby about a foot long and not yet full term. The baby's head rested on a red spiritual light with a rich flame energy. In his left hand, he held a crossbow shrouded in fairy light, and in his right hand, he held 9 crossbow arrows. This son's name is Huo Wuhe. He was originally a spirit from Liwo who attained Taoism. He has cultivation at the peak of Yuan Shen and is only 1 step away from becoming an immortal. Later, he found out that I have extraordinary supernatural powers and powerful powers, so he insisted on joining my Chongshan lineage. I saw that he had a strong will, good qualifications, and a good character. After a test, I accepted him as a disciple. But this child's cultivation method is a side sect, and the foundation is insufficient. I will help him reshape his Dharma body and practice again. Now he has no chance to be born. You inherit the 5 elements Taoism of my Chongshan lineage, and this son has the essence of Liwo, so he will join your sect and pass on your Taoism. He will be located under Guhong and Shisheng, and he will be your 3rd disciple. Disciple, obey. At the same time, he secretly thought in his mind. The master has always been very strict in accepting disciples. Those who are favored by him and accepted as his disciples are all those with excellent qualifications, understanding, character, and perseverance. It is also a blessing to have such disciples to pass on the Taoism. Take him back, remember to teach him well. Yes. The Dragon Emperor waved his hand, and the 18 white eyebrow needles Su Junming had just given him flew towards Zuch Wolong. This is the spiritual treasure that I, the master, gave him to protect him. When he is born, you can give it to him. Zuch Wolong nodded, and after seeing that the 2 ancestors had no other explanations, he left the Snake King Temple with Huo Wuhe's spiritual fetus. His dojo is also in Kangmang Mountain, but it's thousands of miles away. Are you going back to the East China Sea? Asked the Dragon Emperor. Since I'm back, I won't go there yet. Anyway, Tideo Gorge Panluo Immortal Mansion and Antarctic Little Light Realm won't run away, and it will be the same next time I go there. What about you? You've almost found the treasure in the Kangmang Mountain, and you still want to stay here. Although there are many things mentioned in the book Shushan, compared to this real world that is more than 20 million miles away, it is just the tip of the iceberg. The vast Kangmang Mountain spans hundreds of thousands of miles. Among them, there are many Lingshan mountains with numerous cliffs and countless treasures. I just walked around the Snake King Temple for tens of thousands of miles, and I am still far away from having a glimpse of the entire Kangmang Mountain. It seems you really like this, Su Junming said. You are not the only one who enjoys the fun of exploring the secrets. Well, since you want to stay here, then stay here. As you said, there are countless treasures in the Kangmang Mountain, and there may be other discoveries as well. After a pause, Su Junming continued, but I remember that in the evil ghost gorge of the Snake King Temple, isn't there one of the three evils of Zongnan, the strange man in the valley, Shangzu? You have been here for many years and have never discovered it? Shangzane is a disciple of Iron Drum immortal Zhou Meng, and Zhou Meng is the younger brother of the famous Taoist master Heshe. The sect inherits the 5 elements of Qi from the 5 elements of heaven and earth. He is also the only one in the book of Shushan who can compete with Yimei, taking Suanmen to have an invisible sword. The supreme method of balancing Qi. In addition to the extraordinary inheritance, in terms of seniority, Shangzu is the same generation as Ren Xiao, the master of Qinmei. The 2 elders, Kijhen and Yizi, who are now famous in the spiritual world, are all a generation shorter than him. When the Dragon Emperor asked for the treasure from him, Su Junming thought he had accepted Shangzu as his apprentice. Of course it's impossible not to notice. But that guy is a stubborn donkey. I thought he was an eyesore here, so I gave him to Ao Tian to work as a coolie. When he repays me for rescuing him from trouble, it won't be too late to give him his freedom. Su Junming nodded. The 3 little Kunlun immortals are no less important than the 3 founders of Yimei, De Yuanzhenren, Chu Sanzi and Master Lian Shan. Taoist Master Heshe even ascended to the level of a golden immortal. Their next generation are very different. Now Yimei is prosperous and has a strong leadership, while Xiao Kunlun is pretty good except for the generous Master Yuxiu, and the Zongnan Sancha is indeed more useless than the other. The Dragon Emperor nodded. The main reason is that the second generation disciples are not up to par, but the 5 elements Dao is more difficult to understand than the sword Dao, which is also one of the reasons. To be able to achieve extraordinary achievements on this path, Taoist Master Heshe and Yuxiu can be regarded as geniuses. Su Junming smiled faintly and looked into the air. Lingkong Immortal World, I really want to take a look at what the immortal world in the 1,000 worlds looks like. If you want to, you can ascend now. Haha, let's wait until my magic power reaches the level of a true immortal, and my physical body becomes a witch general. Otherwise, I won't be used to being called around by others in the spiritual realm. Combined with the information he has received now, there must be a heavenly palace in the Lingkong immortal realm, and it is extremely powerful. All immortals who ascend from the lower world are subject to the control of heaven. Su Junming is used to being free and loose, but he doesn't want to be bound by some fairy rules. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 573. Su Junming did not leave the Snake King Temple immediately. He wanted to wait for Li Jingxiu to see if this famous boy of bliss had already achieved the status of golden immortal as in the legend. In the quiet room of Chongshan residence, Su Junming was sitting cross-legged in the middle. Sitting cross-legged on the futon in front of him was Tai Hunyuan Patriarch Chen Lin, who had returned to the second level of Yuan Shen. Behind Chen Lin, Su Finiang, Yu Qinbin, and Lin Yuan were sitting cross-legged and transformed after returning to the nascent soul realm. However, they were just like Chen Lingang when he was reincarnated, they just looked like 6 or 7-year-old boys. The 4 of you, master and disciple, have been reborn. It's time to leave my place and re-enter the world of practice. Master, do I want to return to the Chinese world? Chen Lin said. Su Junming nodded. The Chinese world has now advanced to the middle thousand world. After nearly 200 years of spiritual energy recovery, it has expanded to a radius of 50 million miles, and the spiritual energy is even denser than here. Moreover, celestial realm monks have just appeared there, which is perfect for you now. In addition, although the four of you have been reborn, your involvement with the Wutai sect is too deep. If you continue to stay here, the future life and death will be unpredictable due to the cycle of cause and effect. It is better to change the world and start over. Chen Lin, the Chinese world is not unfamiliar to you. Moreover, your second senior uncle is in charge there, and your senior brother, second senior brother, and a group of third-generation disciples are helping you, so you are not alone there. Chen Lin nodded. Disciples follow the instructions of their mentor. Chen Lin, who is the master, agreed, so naturally Su Finiang, Yu Qinbin, and Lin Yuan would not disagree. They have practiced Taoism for many years, and their secular relatives have long since passed away, and they do not want to be tainted by anything from the Wutai section. Therefore, it is okay to go to a new world with richer spiritual energy. You come with me. Come to the cross-border teleportation array under the treasure tree of the palace. Let Chen Lin and the others stand up, and Su Junming began to activate the formation. In an instant, strands of spiritual light bloomed from above the teleportation array, and endless spiritual energy was sucked in by the spirit gathering array engraved near the cross-border teleportation array. Fortunately, the world of Shushan is rich in spiritual energy, and Kangmang Mountain is a place with rich spiritual energy. Snake King Temple, as the former dojo of Taoist Master Hesha, is located on a spiritual vein, and its spiritual energy is even richer. But even so, Su Junming still spent 3 days gathering spiritual energy. The Shushan world is really far away from the Chinese world, much further than the Chongshan world. Anyway, as the master of Chongshan world, Su Junming can also let Ao Tian control Chongshan world to move closer to Shushan world, narrowing the distance between the two sides. But the Chinese world, as the middle thousand world, is not something he can control. The cross-border teleportation array was operating to its extreme, and a bright white light pillar 3 feet wide rose into the sky. In an instant, a black space channel about 10 feet in size appeared from scratch in mid-air and gradually appeared. If you don't leave now, you'll have to wait until later. Su Junming shouted loudly. Chen Lin and the others did not dare to neglect, they used their magic power and quickly flew towards the space passage. After the 4 people entered, Su Junming patted the green gourd on his waist, and a spiritual light flew in. That was the magical elixir he gave to Renwuji and several of his disciples and disciples. They took advantage of the opening of the space channel to bring them over. After holding on for half a cup of tea, Su Junming waved his sleeves, and the aura of the cross-border teleportation array gradually dimmed, and the space channel in mid-air also disappeared. I don't know how many thousands of miles away, Chen Lin and 4 others suddenly appeared on a bluestone altar nearly 9 feet in diameter. The surface of the altar shimmered with complex etched inscriptions, revealing a strong aura of space, which was no different from the cross-border teleportation array they had just seen in the treasure tree of the palace. The spiritual light of the teleportation array dissipated, and a vast world appeared in front of the 4 masters and disciples. As far as the eye can see, it is a vast expanse for thousands of miles. The mountains and rivers are verdant, the rivers are like ribbons, and villages, towns, and fields are dotted among them. Tigers roar, apes crow, and 100 beasts contend, making the area full of vitality. But this world is obviously more than what they see. The place where the earth and the sky meet is still extending forward, as if there is a wider space. The altar they were standing on was located on the top of a mountain thousands of feet high. There are 3 other mountains as high as it. 4 high mountains, according to the positions of the 4 elephants of Qinglong, Suzaku, White Tiger, and Suanwuo, guard a huge peak in the middle. At the top of the giant peak, there are 9 suspended in the air, about several hundred feet high, with sharp tops and sharp bottoms, like inverted triangular hills. The largest one is in the middle, and the remaining 8 are guarding the main peak in the middle according to the Bagua orientation. There is a quaint palace standing on the top of every hill. Although it is not gorgeous, it is full of majesty. Master, the spiritual energy here is more than 10 times stronger than that of the central courtyard, Lin Yuan said in surprise. Chen Lin nodded. He felt it when he first came. Rich spiritual energy means that they can go further in their cultivation. As expected, as Master said, as outsiders, when we come here, a lot of our magic power will be sealed. Yu Qinbin frowned. Lin Yuan nodded in agreement. Fortunately, I can still maintain my nascent soul. It would be embarrassing if I fell to the golden core. Among the 3 generations of disciples under our master, we are the ones with the lowest cultivation level. If it were not for the blessing of our master's merits, it is estimated that our cultivation would be sealed even more, Yu Qinbin said. Compared with the focus of the 2 junior brothers, Su Finiang looked at the majestic sect in the distance with a flash of light in her eyes. Master, the second master, the master uncle, and the second master uncle are so powerful. Looking at the scale of this dojo, my Chongshan lineage must be the top sect in this world. Chen Lin nodded. Your master, Tianzong, a genius, had long predicted the outcome of the spiritual energy recovery in this world before he left this world, so he made plans in advance. Only then did he take the lead in this great change that had never happened before, allowing me to Chongshan. One lineage has become a giant sect that is comparable to Kunlun, Leguantao, Tianqitao, and Mission, and even vaguely superior. Master, are there Kunlun sect and Mission sect in this world? Lin Yuan asked in surprise. Of course. But it has little to do with Kunlun and Mission in Shu Mountain. After a pause, let's go, someone is coming. A ray of light flew from afar, and when it reached the top of the altar, the light dissipated, revealing a strong young man wearing a navy blue shorts, thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a strong aura. Disciple Wang Chao, on the order of the second master, is here to welcome the 7th uncle and 3 junior brothers and sisters to Chongshan Hall. Although Chen Lin is Su Junming's 6th disciple, he ranks 7th among the 2nd-generation disciples of Chongshan lineage, behind Zhuge Wolong. That's why Wang Chao called him 7th master uncle. Chen Lin was slightly shocked when he felt the energy and blood in the young man's body that was comparable to that of an ancient behemoth. Although Su Junming had told him about the situation of the direct disciples of Chongshan sect after he entered the school, he was still surprised after seeing them with his own eyes. This boy has been in Taoism for less than 200 years, but his energy and blood are already close to perfection. And from his body, he could also sense the strong charm of flames. Apparently, in addition to martial arts, he also practiced flames. At such a young age, he is already on the verge of becoming an immortal. He is also a master of both martial arts and martial arts. His aptitude, character, and perseverance are truly astonishing. Are you senior brother's disciple? Back to Uncle 7th, that's right. Wang Chao said respectfully. Elder brother is so lucky. I'm afraid it won't be long before we have 2 more heavenly disciples who are both martial arts masters. Uncle 7th master is overly praised. Chen Lin smiled and nodded, and just as he was about to speak, billowing calamity energy suddenly gathered from all directions, enveloping the mountain peaks in the direction of Qinglong in the blink of an eye. Seeing the calamity cloud that spread nearly 1,000 miles, Chen Lin and his 3 disciples were shocked. Is this an immortal tribulation? Wang Chao's eyes gleamed, with a look of concern on his face. Boom! In an instant, the sky and the earth turned blue and white. The burst of thunder, like a giant sword holding up the sky, struck down instantly. Just after the thunderstorm, there was boundless fire again. The golden red flames, like a furious fire dragon, circled and danced around Qinglong Peak, and the billowing flames could be clearly felt even from hundreds of miles away. After the raging fire, there is a rolling dark wind, although it is silent, it is ecstasy and erodes the bones. After surviving the gloomy wind, I suddenly remembered the sound of swords, guns, and swords in the air. Countless swords emerged from the void, like light and electricity, shooting straight into the middle. The celestial tribulation, the 4 tribulations of thunder, fire, wind, and metal, 9 levels. Plus the final level of heavenly demonic heart tribulation. If you can survive it, you will be in the wonderland of heaven. If you cannot survive it, you will have to practice painting for hundreds of years. It can be called 1 step to heaven and 1 step to hell. Therefore, any monk who faces the immortal tribulation will be very cautious. He must prepare for many years and be at least 70% to 80% sure before embarking on overcoming the tribulation. At the beginning, Chen Lin had already reached the perfection of Yuan Shen, but he had not yet overcome the calamity. This was the reason. A heavy catastrophe of wind, fire, thunder, and gold fell, but there was no big Taoist fluctuation on Qinglong Peak. Until the last 4 catastrophes of wind, fire, thunder, and gold came, suddenly, the yin and yang qi on Qinglong Peak soared into the sky. In the black and white air, 2 giants that were nearly hundreds of feet in length were spinning. Surrounded by heavy yin and yang energy, the 2 bodies were like 2 rolling ancient giant mountains, rumbling and crushing over each other. Such a powerful 9th tribulation of wind, fire, thunder, and gold, under this yin and yang force, was actually powerless to resist and was easily crushed. So strong! Lin Yuan exclaimed. Yu Qinbin and Su Finiang were also shocked. It's not like they have never seen others go through the immortal tribulation, but this is the first time they have seen someone do it with such ease. Chen Lin's eyes were deep, looking at the astonishing yin and yang body, turning into light and disappearing behind the top of Qinglong Peak, and turned his head. Master Nephew Wang, do you know this person who just escaped from the tribulation? Wang Chao nodded. That's senior brother Yang Rong, who is under second master uncle's sect. There was a hint of admiration in his words. Yang Rong entered the school only 5 or 6 years earlier than him, and his cultivation level has always been above everyone else, second only to junior brother Zhuge Liu Yun, who is a disciple of his 4th uncle. The latter has the cultivation of the soul as soon as he transforms into the form, and he is the body of an innate spirit. His talent is unparalleled, and his understanding is even more astonishing. It is really incomparable. If he hadn't majored in swordsmanship and also understood the sealing path, he would have broken through to the heavenly immortal realm long ago. In fact, in addition to majoring in Taoism, he also minored in Taoism, which was very popular among the direct disciples of Chongshan lineage. Because everyone's qualifications and understanding are extraordinary, coupled with the bronze mirror's great blessing on understanding, the progress of majoring in Taoism can be said to be rapid. But the progress of mana cannot keep up with the advancement of Taoism. Since then, if I have extra time, of course I will practice one more thing. This situation is also unique to the Chongshan lineage, and there is no division in the cultivation world. But there are exceptions, and that is Qin Zhong. His qualifications are excellent and his understanding is indeed average. Only his perseverance far beyond ordinary people and his kind-hearted nature made him accepted by Su Junming. The blessing of the bronze mirror on understanding just makes up for his shortcomings. Therefore, he is the only direct disciple of Chongshan who has been practicing martial arts diligently and insisting on being the only one. Su Junming is also determined to help his eldest disciple, and he often gives him pills, essence, and blood. In the past 100 years, many great witch essences and bloods have been given to them. Qin Zhong did not live up to his expectations and practiced hard regardless of the cold or heat. Although there was a delay of nearly 100 years, he has now caught up, and his martial arts cultivation has reached the level of a middle-grade general. In terms of combat power alone, he is no weaker than a perfect Qi practitioner from the heavenly immortal. Coupled with the 36 magical powers of Tiangang and the various magic weapons given by Su Junming, the strength is particularly amazing. The name of the great sage Fuxian has great power over the entire Chinese cultivation world. He is the most powerful person in this world. He suppresses the Chongshan lineage and has a great reputation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 574. Senior brother Yongrong has become an immortal. Seeing the billowing spiritual energy of creation descending from the sky, Wang Chao had a smile on his face. Back then, everyone worked together in the world of Liuzai, fought for half a century, and fought bloody battles with the witch god section. They went through life and death countless times, and they had already formed a deep friendship. In the past 200 years, after entering the spiritual world, coupled with the friendship between the same disciples, the relationship is particularly deep. Ha ha ha. A long smile full of joy came from Qinglong Peak. Soon, a fat young man wearing a green Taoist robe, with a fat body, round features and a kind-looking face, soared into the sky from Qinglong Peak. I am a madman of Chu. Feng Jie laughs at Confucius. Holding a green jade staff, I bid farewell to the yellow crane tower. There is deep joy in the wild poetry. Senior brother Yongrong has always been steady. He never thought that he would become an immortal today, but now he has become wild, Wang Chao said with a smile. Boom! The clear and joyful bell rang, although it was not too loud, it still enveloped the peaks. Wang Chao turned his head. Uncle Seventh, Master has rang the golden bell, I'd better go quickly. Chen Lin nodded. Please help me, my nephew, to lead the way. Uncle, please. Under the leadership of Wang Chao, the group of people flew straight towards the inverted small peak on the top of the central divine peak. As the distance increased, the main hall, which was no bigger than the mouth of a bowl when viewed from a distance, became larger and larger. When we got closer, we discovered that the 9 inverted cone-shaped hills were actually thousands of acres in width, and the largest inverted cone-shaped peak in the middle was nearly 10,000 acres. The broad inverted cone-shaped top of the mountain is extremely flat. It is covered with kiwao grass and is full of green and rich spiritual energy. In the full green, many palaces and pavilions were built based on the terrain. However, all the palaces combined are not as huge as the palace at the top of the inverted cone-shaped peak in the middle. Sitting north and facing south, there is a giant square covering an area of 100 acres. 9 giant bronze tripods 9 feet high stand in the square. A passage 10 feet wide, paved with white marble, stretches for more than 10 feet after passing through the bronze tripod in the middle. After climbing the 99 white marble steps, each 1 meter high, you will find a magnificent palace. The style of the palace is similar to that of Qin and Han dynasties. 12 golden pillars held together by several people support the 9-foot-high eaves. In the middle is a portal 3 feet wide and 2 feet high, on both sides there are 2 side doors 2 feet wide and 1 foot 3 feet wide. Above the 3 portals, a bronze plaque hangs high. The 4-character divine pattern of Chongshan Hall shines brightly. Walking through the door, there is a column-free space that is several acres in size. At the top of the hall, clouds were lingering, and at the same time, a faint silver glow was shed, illuminating the entire Chongshan Hall. The 4 walls and the ground seemed to be made of fine jade, and the tentacles were warm and extremely comfortable. In the innermost part of the hall, there is a lotus cloud platform. Sitting cross-legged on it was a boy about 5 or 6 years old, wearing a black and white Taoist robe, a gold ring hanging around his neck, and pink makeup. Looking at the small green gourd hanging on his waist, you can tell that he is the first-generation disciple of the Chongshan lineage. that is, the second patriarch of the Chongshan lineage who now dominates the Chinese world. The true lord of Tai Chi Yin and Yang, Renwuji. Directly opposite where he started, there were also 3 lotus altars. On the first lotus pedestal on the left, there is a middle-aged man with a majestic body, a calm aura, and an ordinary appearance sitting cross-legged. Sitting cross-legged on the second lotus platform is a middle-aged Taoist priest wearing an apricot yellow Taoist robe, with a square face, a majestic look, and no anger or authority. The third one was sitting cross-legged with a beautiful woman wearing a long white dress, but with an extremely cold temperament. Among the 3 people, except for the Taoist in the middle, his aura is extremely obscure and his magic power is tyrannical. The strong man and the woman did not have much coercion. With Chen Lin's knowledge, he could certainly see that those were 2 soul projections and not the real body here. Judging from the yellow-skinned cords hanging on the waists of the 3 of them, which were similar to theirs, they were the elder brother, the great sage Fuxian Qinzhong. The second senior brother, true Lord Wuji Lin Zhenying. As well as the 3 corpses of Su Huang, the 5th senior sister, Ice Phoenix Fairy. Behind the 3 of them there are disciples. Behind senior brother Qinzhong, sitting cross-legged was a short-haired young man wearing a black robe, who was as majestic and vigorous as Master Nai. He was Qinzhong's eldest disciple Yetianyun. Like Naishi, Yetianyun is also projecting his soul here at this moment. Behind second senior brother Lin Zhenying, 3 people were sitting cross-legged. In addition to Yang Rong, who had just overcome the catastrophe and became an immortal, in the middle was a young man wearing a white robe, carrying a sword box on his back, and a square face, resembling Lin Zhenying. As expected, this is Lin Rui, the second senior brother's son. Chen Lin thought to himself. Next to Lin Rui, sitting cross-legged was a young man wearing a blue Taoist robe with a solemn expression. His magic power had reached the state of spiritual perfection. Chen Lin knew that his second senior brother Lin Zhenying had 3 direct disciples. The eldest disciple, Taoist Qinqin Yang Rong. The second disciple is also his legitimate son, Taoist Yuanjian Lin Rui. And the last disciple, Qingyang Taoist Zhou Qing. Obviously, the last young Taoist with a solemn expression and amazing magical power was Zhou Qing. Chen Lin looked at him emphatically. I thought that the other 3 generations of disciples who would become disciples, in addition to majoring in Taoism, could at most minor in 1 discipline. But this son has minored in 2 majors. In addition to Yin Yang Dao and Aoki Dao, there is also Yin Dao. Fellow practitioners of the 3 paths can also improve their magic power to the perfection of the soul, which shows their qualifications and understanding. Su Junming also passed on the method of cultivating the 3 corpses' soul to Chen Lin. However, his strength has not been fully developed and he has not practiced. Among the second-generation disciples of the entire Chongshan lineage, apart from him, the only ones who practice the 3 corpses soul sutra, which Su Junming combined with the 7 souls clone technique, to become the top secret technique of clones, are the second senior brother Lin Zhenying and the 5th senior sister, Su Huang. But this was the first time he saw Su Huang's 3-corpse body. Like her, she also had a cold look. Behind her sat a young woman wearing a purple dress with the same indifferent expression. Chen Lin remembered that Master once said that there were 4 disciples under 5th senior sister. Nowadays, the main body is cultivating Taoism in the world of Shushan with its eldest disciple Fu Qingfeng, second disciple Fu Yueqi, and junior disciple Deng Baguo, the female disaster god who has just started. Only the clones of the 3 corpses took their 3rd disciple Tang Zikan to practice Taoism in the Chinese world. Like Master Gang, Tang Zikan also came here as a projection of his soul. While Chen Lin was looking at everyone, Su Finiang, Yu Qinbin and Lin Yuan who came with him behind him were also looking at these fellow disciples. It's unclear who the projection came here for now. The senior brother named Yang Rong, who had just passed through the immortal tribulation, was already a first-rate immortal. The remaining two young men sitting next to Yang Rong were Wang Chao, who had brought them here. Both of them had perfect Yuan Shen, or had cultivation levels close to perfect. Moreover, the aura on each person's body is extremely obscure. It is obvious that they have been practicing in this realm for many years and have a deep foundation. They are not new breakthroughs. As a result, they, who were originally extremely confident in their own cultivation and future, instantly felt a lot more embarrassed by this comparison. Compared with the former Wutai sect, the strength of the direct disciples of Chongshan lineage is several levels stronger. In an instant, the remaining grudge in the hearts of the three people disappeared. In the Wutai sect, being called the Taoist ancestor does not necessarily lead to immortality, but here, immortality is indeed a state that can be achieved through hard work. Master, the seventh uncle and three junior brothers and sisters have been brought here. Wang Chao stepped forward and cupped his hands. Renwuji nodded and said, "Go back and sit down." Yes. When he walked to senior brother Yetianyun and sat down cross-legged, a ball of red mist suddenly appeared on the originally glorious jade ground, misty and transformed into a lotus seed, just like the one sitting under everyone's buttocks. Chen Lin took a breath, took 2 steps forward, and said respectfully, "Disciple Chen Lin, pay homage to second master uncle." Disciple Su Finiang, Yu Qinbin, and Lin Yuan pay their respects to the second master. No need to be polite, just get up. Looking at Chen Lin, "Your master and I have been searching in this world for hundreds of years in vain. I didn't expect you to be reincarnated in the Shushan world. It's really a trick of fate. But fortunately, the result turned out to be smooth, and you returned. Got here. Thanks to my mentor for guiding me, otherwise this disciple would not be where he is today," Chen Lin said. After Renwuji nodded. "Now that you are back, let's practice hard. With your qualifications and understanding, I believe you will become an immortal in a short time. Yes. As for you three little guys, now that you have joined my Chongshan sect, you must completely forget your old habits in the Wutai section, otherwise, I will not spare you if you violate the sect's rules." Su Finiang and the other 2 people were shocked. "Disciples don't dare. It's okay if you don't dare. Go down and sit down." Chen Lin and his 3 apprentices sat down next to Su Huang. "I have summoned you here today mainly for 2 happy events. The first thing is that you, 7th junior brother, have been ordered by your master to come to the Chinese world to practice Taoism. As the masters of this place, you should love and protect your fellow disciples and try your best to help you, 7th junior brother, recover your cultivation as soon as possible. Disciple, obey." The 3 corpses of Qin Zhong, Lin Zhengying, and Su Huang responded respectfully. This second happy event is that the 3rd generation disciple Yang Rong has achieved the immortal realm. He is also the 2nd heavenly immortal monk among the 3rd generation disciples, and the 15th heavenly immortal under my sect of Chongshan. Of course, there aren't actually that many. However, Su Junming told everyone earlier that there were 8 people in the 1st generation of Chongshan. Of course they are all monks above the heavenly immortal realm. In fact, except for his true form, Corpse Dog Po Renwuji, Fu Ya Po Dragon Emperor, and Ke Yin Po Ao Tien, the remaining 4 Dharma bodies have not transformed at all. Not to mention immortals, humans are not. But in order to fill the hole, it still needs to be calculated in the final calculation. Strictly speaking, there are only 11 immortals in the Chongshan lineage now. If Su Junming and the 3 Dharma bodies are regarded as one person, then there are only 8 Fairyland monks in Chongshan Academy. Even so, the 8 immortals are still an amazing force. At present, in the entire Chinese world, among the giant sects such as Kunlun, Leguantao, Tianqitao, and Mission, there are only 1 or 2 immortals suppressing them. In the world of Shushan, Yimei is strong. Except for those who have ascended, none of the remaining 3 generations of disciples have become immortals. Master Daiwan, Chuo Sanzi, and Lian Shan were the 1st generation. Chenmiagenren, Shuijingzi, and Denyin are the second generation. The 3 immortals of the East China Sea and the 7 immortals of Luofu are the 3rd generation. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 575. Of course, the Shushan world is only a small part of the entire Qi County China. The truly important essence, there are countless powerful people in the Lingkong immortal realm. Any Xianxian who comes out can sweep the current Chongshan Academy. Therefore, the 8 immortals have nothing to be proud of, but in the current Chinese world, they are indeed a powerful force that can stand out from the rest. It is this foundation that allows Chongshan Academy to firmly occupy the best resources in the Chinese world and cultivate more and more outstanding disciples. Don't say anything else. Since Renwuji integrated Wuzhangfeng Cave Heaven and Kunlun Ruins into one, the Chongshan Cave Heaven has expanded to 100,000 miles, and is now the most powerful cave world in the Chinese cultivation world. The Chongshan Academy of the Chinese world is located in this vast spiritual world of Cave Heaven. Yongrong has now advanced to the rank of Celestial Immortal, and his master's background is even richer. Everyone present has smiles on their faces. With a strong master behind you, no one will dare to bully others when walking in the world of cultivation. This is something that any disciple of Chongshan who practices in the Chinese cultivation world knows very well. As a teacher of grace, Lin Zhenying also showed a proud smile on his face. Although his disciple is not the first disciple among the 3rd generation of Chongshan sect to advance to the rank of heavenly immortal, Zhuge is an innate divine body and is naturally powerful, so he is really incomparable. If conditions were the same, I, as a disciple, would be no worse than anyone else. Grace. The disciple is here. When our disciples become immortals, they will be given valuable treasures by their elders to encourage them. Now that you have become an immortal, your sect master and I will both have treasures given to you by our elders. Yongrong's face showed a look of joy, but he always behaved himself and did not get carried away at all. Renwuji nodded secretly in his heart. Compared to Uncle Nine, my son Lin Zhenying is indeed much better at teaching his disciples. However, this is also what I have done well in training. The thought flashes away, and the heart moves. A double-sided axe head that is completely green, a pine tree with dry stems and branches, filled with fairy spirit, flies towards Yongrong. This axe is called the Jade Phosphorus Axe, and it is a forbidden immortal weapon from the 3 immortals. It was given to me. The pine tree is called the Colorful Splendid Pine. It is a middle-grade fairy root. It was cultivated by your master and is specially given to you today. In the future, using this to suppress your portable cave will not only have richer aura, but the strength of the cave space crystal wall will also increase dozens of times. The Jade Phosphorus Axe was originally just a top-notch spiritual treasure. The Ghost Mother Zuying was limited to her magic power and weapon refining skills, and did not fully realize the value of the treasure. When it was in Su Junming's hands, he added some materials to refine it into an immortal weapon. The colorful brocade pine is a new branch that he cut off a branch of the multicolored brocade pine and cultivated it with the spiritual energy of creation. Holding 2 treasures in his hands, Yongrong said happily, "Thank you, the head patriarch and the second patriarch, for the treasures." Renwuji nodded and praised, "Practice well in the future and strive to advance to the level of true immortal as soon as possible. Disciple, obey." After Renwuji waved, Yongrong returned to his original position and sat down. The 3 generations of disciples looked at him with a touch of envy in their eyes, and at the same time they became more determined. This is especially true for Ye Tianyuan, Wang Chao, Lin Rui, Zhou Qing and Tang Zikan, who are close to the perfection of their souls. The 2 things have been discussed. Renwuji turned to look at Qinzhong, Egyptian Emperor. Valley Cave Heaven was born. What treasures can you get from this trip with Tianyuan? Qinzhong nodded and waved his right palm, and a spherical blue crystal larger than the basin appeared in front of everyone's eyes. In the center of the crystal, A red crystal slightly larger than the mouth of the bowl is embedded, setting off the entire blue crystal like an eye. This object is called the Eye of Horus. It is a low-grade innate spiritual treasure. It can be used in 3 ways. The first is to see from a distance. Using this treasure as a medium, you can see everything within billions of miles. The eyes have the effect of seeing through obstacles and breaking illusions. Unless there is a powerful immortal forbidden blockage, the mountains, rivers, earth, rocks, and the cave world can all be seen through. The second general application is water control, which controls thousands of water vapors like an arm and a finger. Moreover, this treasure also has the effect of condensing Tianyi Zhenshui. The longer it takes, the more effective Tianyi Zhenshui will be powerful. The third general application is fire control. This fire is not a fire, but the real fire of the sun. It can burn mountains and boil seas. It is infinitely powerful. Renwiji nodded. You are lucky enough to have a low-grade innate spiritual treasure with you. It will be safer for you to be a layman in the future. Qin Zhong nodded and didn't say much. The rule of the Chongshan lineage is that whoever gets the treasure belongs to him. Therefore, although everyone was envious of his opportunity, they did not say much. Xiao Yunzi, is the golden spear in your hand also a harvest from this time? Ye Tianyun held a golden short spear with embossed hieroglyphics in his hand. After nodding. This golden spear is called the Spear of Judgment, and it is a powerful immortal weapon. Renwiji waved his hand, and the short spear flew into his hand. Although this is just the projection of Ye Tianyun's soul, you can still feel the tyranny of this golden spear. The light golden short spear is 5 feet and 9 inches long, with a statue of a god with an eagle head and a human body embossed in the middle. The image of the sun is suspended above the statue's head, and a snake is wrapped around the sun. Based on his understanding of Egyptian mythology, this statue is the sun god Ra. After looking at it briefly, he waved his hand and gave it back to Ye Tianyun. You are so lucky. This Spear of Judgment is at least a top-grade immortal weapon. It will be enough for you to become a high-ranking general in the future. Ye Tianyun's face was full of joy and he nodded in agreement. Second Master, I would like to ask the Master to refine the materials of the Spear of Judgment into my Xintian battle axe and Xintian shield. This is a top-grade immortal weapon, are you willing to give it up? One is enough to attack immortal weapons. More may not be useful. You are wise, but this Spear of Judgment is a throwing spear, which can make up for your lack of long-range attack methods, so keep it for now. As for your natal spiritual treasure, when you become a low-ranking general in the future, your headmaster I will help you train them into immortal weapons. Before he finished speaking, Renwiji's expression suddenly changed, and soon Lin Zhenying, Qin Zhong, and others also changed their expressions. Soon everyone became aware of it. Go out and have a look. Renwiji gave an order, and more than a dozen escaping lights flew out of the Chongshan Hall. But I saw that the sky and the earth, which were originally clear skies, had long been obscured by thick dark clouds. The yang qi in the sky and the earth declined, and the yin qi rose, leaving the sky and the earth dark. Renwiji waved his right hand, and a water mirror hundreds of feet long appeared not far away. In the water mirror, a huge modern city and the Yangtze River that had expanded to 30,000 miles wide appeared. Obviously, this is the situation outside Chongshan Cave. At this moment, in the vast world in the middle section of the Yangtze River, Yang Qi is also avoiding, Yin Qi is rising, and the heaven and earth are in darkness. As the yin becomes thicker and thicker, the sky becomes darker and darker, and the day instantly turns into night. In an instant, bursts of ghostly cries and howls sounded. Accompanied by the sound of clanging gold and iron, an army walked out of the dense darkness, wearing iron armor, holding iron spears, with netherworld flags on their backs, entangled with ghosts, and soaring momentum. The yin soldiers are crossing the border. Lin Zhenying inherited the mantle of his father and master, catching ghosts and subduing demons, and he was most familiar with everything in the underworld. 200 years ago, when Su Junming led him to practice Taoism, he encountered him once. After that time, the underworld disappeared. Seeing this situation again now, Lin Zhenying gradually began to make speculations in his mind. Groups of Yin soldiers walked out of the netherworld, crossed the Yangtze River, and entered the increasingly large Wuchang city. They then took away a large number of lingering Yin souls and disappeared into the vast land outside the city. Not just Wuchang, at this moment, if you look at it from the air, the huge world that has expanded to 5,000 miles, and the sun has started to rotate around the earth, looks like it is filled with gloom. However, there are also differences among the similarities. In the east, evil soldiers are passing through, in the west, skeletons and zombies are crawling out of the ground, and demons are dancing wildly. The entire social order has fallen into chaos for a while. Countless monsters with dog heads and human bodies emerged from southern Africa and occupied the entire Sahara Desert. In the dense forests of Central and South America, a large number of monsters with human bodies, snake tails, and 4 arms sprouted from their backs appeared like a flood. Various races have also evolved in the ocean. However, in the entire world, China's world has changed the most. In the strong Yin Qi, the traditional land of Guan'an'ei, that is, the ancient Kyushu, continued to grow, and its huge area soon occupied nearly 1/3 of the entire world. The aura of all the famous caves has improved a lot again. There are countless splendid scenes and exotic flowers and plants everywhere. In an instant, it became the largest country in the world and a first-class holy land for cultivation. After a month, the Yin Qi finally receded. At this time, the Chongshan cave sky also grew by 1/3, turning into a small world. Because there is the middle thousand world of the Chinese world watching from above, the small world of Chongshan attached to this world has not experienced a natural disaster. Feeling the increasingly dense spiritual energy in the world, Ren Wuji took a deep breath. Wang Chao. The disciple is here. Take your 7th uncle to Zhenlei Peak to settle down, and tell him everything that has happened in this world in the past 300 years. Yes. Uncle second master, disciple, please retire. Chen Lin stepped forward and said. Go ahead and get familiar with this world, and then it's not too late to go out and explore. Disciple, obey. After Wang Chao left with the 4 masters and apprentices Chen Lin. Qinzhong, Xiao Huang you can go too. The world has changed dramatically, and Netherworld has appeared. Come back first. Yes. The 2 left with their respective disciples. Zhenying, your master taught you the magic spell to penetrate the Netherworld, right? Lin Zhenying nodded. When he first became a Taoist, he traveled all over the world with his master and sent countless ghosts to the underworld for reincarnation. Although he had not used the Netherworld spell for hundreds of years, he had never forgotten it. Very good, Netherworld has appeared and the underworld has reappeared. Please summon your master. Disciple, obey. Lin Zhenying took a deep breath. Back then, he followed his master Su Junming and met his master, Taoist master Four Eyes, several times. Later, when heaven and earth came to an end, the netherworld and the underworld disappeared, and we never saw each other again. It has been almost 300 years now. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 576. 300 years of time have passed, and today, the underworld has finally returned. Taking a deep breath, with his current cultivation as a heavenly immortal, of course he doesn't need to use the altar. He stretched out his hand and a black spell flew into the air about 10 feet in front of him. In an instant, endless yin qi gathered. A black passage started from nothing and soon became the size of a wash basin. Accompanied by bursts of cries of ghosts and howls, extremely rich netherworld qi surged from it instantly. Roads of green frost contaminated the surrounding spiritual energy, emitting green lights under the dazzling sunlight. Lin Zhenying pressed for a while, but there was no movement. Okay, stop. Uncle Master, let me try again. No need. Your Tanja spell is a direct descendant of Mission, and it can't be wrong. Now that you can't contact your master, it can only mean that he has encountered something unexpected, or is no longer in this world, Renwuji said. The netherworld connects all realms and is huge and boundless. No matter how wonderful Mission's spell is, it has an effective range. Beyond this range, we will not be able to contact you. Uncle Master, I will go back to the Mission General Altar of Luofu Mountain. Now that the netherworld has appeared, Mission will definitely contact his ancestors in the underworld. Maybe he will know the news about his master by then. Renwuji nodded. Although Chongshan Academy is powerful, it lacks the foundation of thousands of years of great sects such as Leguan Taoism, Mission Taoism, and Tianchi Taoism. After you go back, go to your father first. With him coming forward, the matter will be easily solved. Lin Zhenying nodded. Although he is also a disciple of Mission in name, he rarely returns to Mission since he became a disciple of Su Junming. However, his father, mother, Taoist companion, and daughter are all disciples of Mission, and they have many ties. No matter how few times he goes back, he can never lose contact with Mission. Moreover, Mission also needs his disciple of the heavenly immortal to strengthen his reputation. Then I'll take my leave now, disciple. Go ahead. Lin Zhenying nodded and turned around. Wrong. As soon as you break through, you will stay in the sect for the time being and practice. Disciple, I obey, Yang Rong said quickly. Lin Zhenying opened his palms, and a ball of black and white aura the size of a basin appeared in front of everyone. This ball of innate Taishi Yin and Yang Qi was accidentally obtained when I traveled to the East China Sea last time. I will give it to you today as a gift for your breakthrough to the heavenly realm. Take it. Master, this disciple's natal magical weapon, Yin Yang, has already passed through the catastrophe and become the master of immortal weapons. This innate Taishi Yin and Yang Qi is very precious, so I'd better leave it to my two junior brothers. When they break through to become immortals in the future, they will have other rewards as teachers. Senior brother, you should keep it. My father, under the guidance of his master, found the ancient immortal Go Ying's mansion in the East China Sea a few years ago and got a lot of treasures. In the future, junior brother Zhou and I will definitely be rewarded if we break through the fairyland, Lin Rui said. Zhou Qing has a taciturn temperament, so he nodded in agreement. Lin Zhenying glared at Lin Rui angrily. How do you know this? Lin Rui knew that his father was an old-fashioned man. Although he was his son, he had never seen him give him any more treasures. Among the three senior brothers, they are always on equal footing, and sometimes they even tend to be more oriented toward the senior brother and junior brother. My mother said so. Lin Zhenying's face changed slightly. He was anxious to return to Mission and didn't ask any more questions. Shaking his hands, he handed the innate Taishi Yin and Yang spiritual energy to the eldest disciple. After waving his hand to signal him not to say anything, he turned his head and grimaced. You, and Qing the world has changed drastically, and the world of practice will be in chaos again. You two have nearly reached perfection, so you just took this opportunity to go down the mountain to practice external skills and seek opportunities for breakthroughs. Disciple, I obey, Zhou Qing responded respectfully. Lin Rui also nodded. After the explanation, Lin Zhenying turned his head and bowed to Renwuji. Uncle Master, this disciple is leaving now. He waved his hand. Go ahead and notify me as soon as possible if you have any news. Lin Zhenying nodded, activated the magic talisman and instantly exited the Chongshan cave. A sky-shattering rainbow flew straight towards Luofu Mountain. Shushan World Chongshan lives in a valley in the spiritual beast garden. This valley is about 4,000 to 5,000 acres in size. Apart from the colorful flowers, there are only 3 tall trees in it. This tree is also strange. Whether it is the trunk, branches, or leaves, they are all straight without any bends. The trunk of the tree, in particular, is like a giant sword reaching into the sky. There are trees everywhere, but they carry with them a sense of arrogance and domineering. This tree is called the Iron Sword Spirit Tree. It is the only fairy seed spiritual root in Su Junming's hand that is not cultivated in the creation spirit pond. Uncle, it's right here. Under the leadership of Qing Feng, Su Junming came to the middle and tallest Iron Sword Spirit Tree. Looking up, you can see 5 or 6 azure butterflies the size of wash basins flying gracefully in the lush canopy. Don't be fooled by their beautiful appearance, each butterfly is wrapped with amazing innate sword energy. After 200 years, these sword butterflies have finally hatched Su Junming's side. Back in the Liuzai world, he exchanged 7 sword butterfly eggs from the Changchun sword sect. Today, the Changchun sword sect has long since fallen apart in the original war between the Wushan cult, and these 7 sword butterfly eggs have all hatched after absorbing enough spiritual energy. How many males and females are there? Qing Feng said, 4 males and 2 females. This is not enough. Don't worry, sir. Sword butterflies only have a mating period every 60 years. Now that they are born not long ago, they are still far from mating period. Give me 2 male butterflies. After Qing Feng nodded, a spiritual light shot out from the iron gate above his head. In an instant, 2 smaller blue sword butterflies were sealed by the spiritual light of the iron gate. When the other sword butterflies took a look, the sword energy around them surged, and the bright innate sword energy was like a violent storm, heading straight towards Qing Feng. The latter shouted softly, and the iron gate's light surged, blocking out all the sword energy. Su Junming smiled faintly, waved his sleeves, and the 2 of them left the valley in an instant. After putting the 2 sword butterflies into the gourd at his waist, he looked at Qing Feng. I didn't expect you to advance to the soul level. Disciple is ashamed. Compared to other disciples, my cultivation is far behind. Qing Feng told the truth. I won't talk about those fellow disciples who are also second-generation disciples. Even among the third-generation disciples, most of them are close to the fairyland. In contrast, although she was happy to have broken through the coveted realm of soul, she was not at all proud. There are too many talented people in the Chongshan lineage. The most important thing in practicing cultivation is persistence. Although your qualifications are not the best, you are still an excellent talent. It is even more rare that you know how to work hard. As long as you can endure loneliness, you will surely achieve success in the future. Thank you, Master, for your teaching. I will never forget it. After Su Junming nodded slightly, he took a step and left Sword Butterfly Valley in an instant. Ouch! A deafening roar came from afar. As soon as I stopped, I saw from a distance that it was a large lake covering an area of tens of thousands of acres. A fish-like body with 4 thick dragon claws on the front and back, a green horn on its head, and a body nearly 100 feet long, was tumbling in the lake. Uncle, since this dragon shark came here, it has been roaring all day long. In just half a month, it has fought several times with 2 green dragons in the lake. If the disciple had not had the prohibition token given by the uncle, he would have almost stopped. You can't stop it, Qing Feng said as he followed. Su Junming nodded slightly. Last time, he took away the sacred sand channel refined by the 3 phoenixes of Xiun Palace, along with the dragon sharks, giant turtles and other dozen rare beasts left in the channel, and raised them in the true dragon lake. Lest these rare beasts become extinct. In addition, their shed adjacent claws, and saliva are all good materials for refining treasures or medicines and can be used in the future. Of course, some less ugly beasts can also be used by the disciples of Chongshan Academy to guard the cave's spiritual fields or serve as helpers in the future. I guess it's because I just changed to a new environment and I'm still not used to it. Just let it go. As long as you don't make a big mistake, don't worry about it. Yes. By the way, I heard Kuei Niu say last time, how many Luen birds were born? Qingfen nodded. How many? There were 2 clutches, a total of 5 eggs. King Feng's face showed joy. As the manager of the spiritual beast garden, she still prefers the beautiful phoenix spiritual bird like the Luen bird, compared to dragon sharks, dragons, sword butterflies, and golden spiders. Su Junming nodded and waved his hand, and a porcelain bottle flew into King Feng's hand. There are 5 drops of good fortune spiritual water in it. You can use it to thicken the origins of those 5 little guys so that they will not die young in the future. I thanked Master for them. Just as Su Junming was about to speak, Ren Wuji's voice suddenly came to his mind. Frowning slightly. I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. Uncle, why don't you go to Wutong Ridge to have a look? Let's go next time. Qingfen nodded. Congratulations, Uncle. After Su Junming waved his hand, he took a step forward and appeared in the backyard of Chongshan residence. Is there any news about Master? Ren Wuji's soul transmitted the message. There is news from Mission Nanzong that Simu is no longer working in the Yin division, but has been transferred to the Mission sect in the Immortal Realm. Fairy World. Although when he was still in Mission Nanzong, he had read many accounts about the Immortal World from the files. But because of the end of heaven and earth, the path to immortality had long been cut off, so I didn't care. Unexpectedly, this fairy land would appear in front of him again. Mission sect in Immortal Realm. Is this another Zhongqian world? I don't know. There are too few records about the Immortal Realm. Even the Mission Nanzong knows little about it. Su Junming thought for a moment and said quickly, search for news about the Immortal World with all your strength. If it is just a middle thousand world, that's it. If it is a great thousand world, we will not have no way forward in the future. I will investigate this matter, and you can practice in the Shushan world with peace of mind. By the way, I forgot to tell you. This time the Egyptian Emperor Gudongtian was born, and Qin Zhong obtained the Eye of Horus from it. It is a low-grade innate spiritual treasure. Su Junming's eyes lit up. Including the azure dragon seal that Zhenying obtained in the East China Sea, the 2 of them have lived up to their efforts for hundreds of years, and finally each of them obtained an innate spiritual treasure. Counting my yin-yang great momentum, Kongshan's lineage has already obtained 1 middle-grade innate spiritual treasure and 2 low-grade innate spiritual treasures. The opportunities are profound. But according to my calculations, a Zhongqian world can create 3 middle-grade innate spiritual treasures and 9 low-grade innate spiritual treasures. In addition to my yin-yang great mill, there are 2 middle-grade innate spiritual treasures in the Chinese world. Unfortunately, I have been searching for them for many years, but I still have no clues. Su Junming said thoughtfully, this time Qin Zhong obtained the treasure, it reminded me that in the past, we all focused on the remote mountains and ravines and the depths of the sea, but missed those ancient civilizations. You mean Babylon, Poison, and Rome? Go and look for it. I believe you will find something. However, forget it if it belongs to the owner. Our Chongshan Academy is a well-known and decent family after all. We cannot do such things openly. Don't worry, I won't lose the big for the small. After cutting off contact, Su Junming sighed. Master, I don't know when we will see you again. Come out, Li Jingxiu is here. The Dragon Emperor's voice spread into the sea of consciousness. Su Junming's heart moved, he left Chongshan residence, put away the palace treasure tree, and walked from the back hall to the front hall. When he saw a 3-foot-tall boy standing behind the Dragon Emperor, about 7 or 8 years old, with an upright and solemn face, he was stunned for a moment and then said with a smile, Hi Z, have you transformed? Thank you very much for the Tai form refining pill given by the Great Master, otherwise Hechi would have to advance to the fairyland to transform. Tai refining pill is an elixir that Su Junming accidentally refined during the process of understanding the human Huang pill. Because it contains the spirit water of creation, it can not only help demons transform in advance, but also has the effect of repairing physical damage, resurrecting broken limbs, and beautifying the skin. Because it was just a byproduct, it was refined once and then not refined again. The refined elixirs were given to the sex royal beasts such as Black Dog, Hechi, and Kuei Niu that had not yet transformed. Su Junming nodded, although the transformation is successful, we can't slack off in practice. Don't worry, sir, Hechi will never dare to neglect you. Haha, that's good. He walked to the futon next to Dragon Emperor and sat down on it. When will Li Jingxiu come? Wolongfi he sent a message saying that he will arrive in a quarter of an hour. It should be almost there now. As soon as he finished speaking, 4 escaping lights fell outside the door. It didn't take long, and Mazeo, who was responsible for guarding the mountain gate, came in with 4 people, holding a long stick. In addition to Zhuge Wolong, there were also women Lu Min and Lu Rongbo whom I had met once. In front of his father and daughter, there is a man who is about 11 or 12 years old, wearing a light yellow short coat, a gold ring around his neck, and bare feet, like a golden boy in the sky. Although he is small, his eyes reveal the vicissitudes of the world. Although the aura is not released, it is earth-shaking. Obviously, this person is the famous paradise boy Li Jingxiu. When the two of them were looking at Li Jingxiu, the latter was also looking at them. During this time, the news that the 2 founders of Chongshan Academy defeated 2 eminent Buddhist monks, Tianmeng and Beimei, took the Ziying sword, the treasure of Yimei Mountain, and agreed to let the Yimei sect come to ask for it 10 years later, has spread throughout the world. Entered the world of spiritual practice. Li Jingxiu is well aware of the abilities of Tianmeng and Beimei. He has been practicing for many years and thinks he is not inferior to the latter. But Tianmeng, who has advanced to the realm of Anagami Arhat, has no chance of winning. Chongshan Zhenjun Su Junming was able to defeat this man, which shows that his cultivation is advanced and his magic power is tyrannical, surpassing his own. That's why I came to visit you. Otherwise, given his current status in the world of spiritual practice, others would come to visit him, so why would he need to personally open his jade toes? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 577. Seeing that Li Jingxiu was not traveling as a spirit, but as a real person, Su Junming and Dragon Emperor also stood up to greet him. 2 Taoist friends, Li Jingxiu have been friends for a long time. It is truly a blessing to meet you today. Haha, fellow Taoist Li is well known in the world, and I have wanted to visit you for a long time. However, we had never met each other before, so we came rashly and abruptly until today. I never thought that fellow Taoist Li would take the initiative to visit us, which really made the Snake King Temple so prosperous. Hui. After both parties exchanged polite words, they came to the main hall. After Li Jingxiu glanced at Hechi, he sat down on the futon next to him. Su Junming slapped the gourd on his waist, and an orange-red tree stump the size of a round table flew out from it. The tree stump is simple and natural, with deep wood color and strong aura of armor wood. It is obvious that it was originally a spiritual root. It has a smooth cross-section, and there are a teapot decorated with blue and white flowers, a tea can, a small porcelain jar with a teaspoon and a strainer, and 8 or 9 blue and white teacups with elegant colors. With a gesture of his hand, light water condensed from the air and poured into the teapot. Watch Su Junming complete the tea washing, making tea and other processes smoothly, and then wave the teacup to everyone. I didn't expect that fellow Taoist Su was so proficient in tea ceremony. I'm not very proficient, but I've been drinking for a long time, so I know a little bit about it. Fellow Taoist Li, please. Li Jingxiu nodded slightly and took a sip. Her eyes lit up and she blurted out. Good tea. Su Junming smiled lightly. This tea is called Red Sun Brocade. It is an immortal seed that I spent 200 years of hard work cultivating. I just picked some today and it is just in time to entertain fellow Taoists. Then I am very lucky. Only the immortals in the Lingkong immortal world have some immortal root immortal tea. This time he was really envious. This fairy tea named Red Sun Brocade is not only rich in aura, but after drinking it, one's mind becomes clear and one's understanding is slightly improved. Although this is only temporary, it is also a rare immortal product. The last time he drank this kind of immortal tea was at the place of Master Chi's Hang of Lingqiao Palace in Tianpeng Mountain. According to Mr. Liu, it was a gift he received when he participated in the Zhuguo Immortal meeting held by the Red Emperor of the Lingkong Immortal Realm. Unfortunately, after the Five Emperors' War, the Nantian Immortal Palace was destroyed, the Red Emperor fell, the innate Zhuguo disappeared, and the Zhuguo Immortal Association also became extinct. Although Li Jingxiu envied his immortal seeds, Su Junming had no intention of giving them away. When the Liuzai world collapsed, most of the top resources fell into his hands. This Red Sun Jingxian tea is one of them. However, due to insufficient spiritual energy, Su Junming fell down in rank. It took Su Junming 200 years to grow in the creation spirit pond before he returned to his original state. Now that the first batch of new tea has just been picked, he doesn't even have enough to drink, so naturally he won't give it to Li Jingxiu. What's more, it's the first time we meet, so he doesn't need to be so generous. Of course, Li Jingxiu is envious, and that's not the case. At his current state, even fairy tea is just the icing on the cake. What he lacks is not his realm or cultivation, but his merits. The Lingkong immortal realm in the Shushan world is quite special. If you want to ascend to the upper realm as a golden immortal, you must have enough merit. It's not because of the catastrophe, but because of some special factors. Put down the teacup. Two real men, Pandeo came here mainly to pay his respects. Thanks to the timely action of the two of you and Ling Gao's disciples, the tragedy of fratricide among Pandeo's disciples was avoided. After saying that, he turned his head and spoke in a stern tone. You evildoer, why don't you come forward? Lu Min quickly came out of the crowd and knelt down in the hall. Lu Min thanks the two masters and fellow Taoist Zuch for saving my little girl. Otherwise, I will regret it for the rest of my life and be heartbroken. Su Junming looked at him indifferently. Because of his own selfishness, he did not hesitate to kill his daughter to seek enlightenment. To say he is pedantic is better to say he is unscrupulous. He looked down upon this kind of person, so he didn't want to say anything more. Get up and take this as a warning in the future. He raised his head and looked at Su Junming, whose eyes were as deep as a pool, as if he could see through his heart in an instant. He felt secretly in his heart and said respectfully. Lu Min must remember the real person's teachings and never do it again in the future. Su Junming nodded and waved. After Lu Min bowed, he returned to sit behind his master. Rongbo thanks the two great masters and senior Zuch for their life-saving grace. Lu Rongbo also came to the hall and knelt down. Compared to Lu Min, the father, her tone was much more sincere. Su Junming smiled and lifted Lu Rongbo up with a surge of secret energy. It is very difficult for you to escape now. In the future, you should be careful in your words and deeds, practice hard, and strive to achieve positive results one day, and your hard work will be worthy of your hard work. Rongbo, please remember the teachings of the real person. Remember to visit Shisheng more often in the future. Dragon Emperor, who had been silent until now, suddenly interjected. Lu Rongbo nodded quickly before retreating. Li Jingxiu opened his left palm, and an indigo token, 3 silver needles, and a small clock made of gold silk flew out. I also like this child, she's hung very much. These two realm cards, the three talents of the Zimu demon subduing needle and the Lagu bell are gifts to him from my ancestor. The three treasures flew to Zhuge Wolong. Fellow Taoist Zhuge, please give these three spiritual treasures to Shi Sheng. Zhuge Wolong did not take it, but turned to look at the two ancestors sitting at the top. After getting permission, I accepted it. On behalf of Shi Sheng, I would like to thank the real person for the treasure. Li Jingxiu waved his hand. Shi Sheng is also my disciple, so giving him the treasure is just my thought as an elder, so there is no need to say thank you. Nowadays, the Chongshan lineage is growing in power in the righteous way. The head patriarch, true monarch Chongshan, and the third patriarch, true monarch Five Virtues, are all as powerful as Zun Sheng, Tian Meng, and the six monsters of the universe. His direct disciples, Master and disciple Kongsang Fairy Jiao Shaoxin, Master and disciple Yan Chixia, the bearded swordsman, and Master and disciple Ice Phoenix Fairy Su Huang, are becoming more and more known. He also wanted to make friends with such a righteous sect that was stronger than Yimei. And Shi Sheng, the direct disciple who became a disciple of Chongshan, was the link between the two parties. It's just a few spiritual treasures that he can't use. Do you two fellow Taoists know about the catastrophe of the immortals that happens once every 500 years? Li Jingxiu suddenly changed the topic. I know. Those with weak merit will perish, but those with outstanding merit will have the hope of becoming immortals in the future, Su Junming said. What fellow Taoist said is true. However, every time there is a person who presides over the fate of the immortals, 500 years ago it was Master Chenmei, and this time it is the Yimei sect. Su Junming smiled faintly. Young Taoist Li will not come to be a lobbyist for Yimei because of the Ziying sword incident, right? Fellow Taoist, I misunderstood. It's just a kind reminder. Li Jingxiu points to Taoism. Although merit is important, it does not need to be accumulated by completing killings and calamities. On the contrary, in Buddhism, cultivation is the most important thing. Zunchen, Tianmeng, Beimei, Fenchuo, and Yutan will all stand together with Yimei. If Taoist fellow Chongshan Academy competes with Yimei, it needs to make early plans. Looking at Li Jingxiu's calm eyes, Su Junming's heart moved slightly. Thank you, Taoist friend, for telling me. Yimei and the Buddhist sect are indeed powerful, but our Chongshan Academy is a famous sect of the righteous way. If they dare to attack, Pandeo will teach them a profound lesson. There was a pause. From the tone of fellow Taoist, it seems that you are not interested in Yimei. Li Jingxiu suddenly heard a message from his spiritual consciousness. I once had a direct disciple named Qin Yu. I originally planned to let him pass on my Taoism, but Yimei instigated Mrs Tianhu Baoxiang behind his back to destroy his Yuan Yang, making his Yuan Shen defective. There was no hope for the immortals, so he had to fight and reincarnate. Su Junming suddenly realized, no wonder Yimei would love Mrs Tianhu Baoxiang, a monster with a criminal record, in every possible way. Even the three immortals of the East China Sea and the two elders of Songshan did not hesitate to personally help her survive the catastrophe. It turned out that there was still such cause and effect in it. I'm afraid this is also the reason why Li Jingxiu loves Shi Sheng so much and bestows him with such treasures as the Tebei light-splitting sword, the Liguo bell, the two realm tablets, and the Zimu Sankei demon subduing needle. But the reason why he is lukewarm towards the Qin sisters. Why would Yimei target fellow Taoist disciples? Qin Yu was greedy for a moment and took the Ziying sword that Yimei placed under the white jade cliff of Kangmang Mountain. He also injured Sun Lanyan, Miao Ai's wife, who went to retrieve the sword. No wonder. Su Junming thought to himself. He hurt his beloved wife who had been with him for 3 lifetimes, and with Qi Shuming's heroic temperament, of course he would not give up. Is this why fellow Taoist people didn't attack Yimei? After all, it was my disciple who was at fault first. In addition, Although Mrs Tianhu Baoxiang was secretly instigated by Yimei, if Qin Yu had strong concentration, he would not have leaked Yuan Yang and his path would have collapsed. Li Jingxia showed a trace of anger on his face. What a shame that evildoer didn't repent and stayed with Mrs Tianhu Baoxiang. He really failed me and made it difficult for me to speak out in front of all my colleagues. I had to swallow this dumb loss and ended up with an ending that was ridiculed by others. Well, after Qin Yu's incident, coupled with the misbehavior of several of the disciples he had accepted earlier, he personally took action and killed him on the spot in front of many of his comrades and friends. He became disheartened and no longer had the sect established. Thought. After taking a breath and calming down, Li Jingxia continued. You two fellow Taoists, you have learned from my mistakes and need to be careful. Qi Shuming, the master of Yimei, has extraordinary skills, and he has the foundation laid by Master Chenmei. With his backing to Buddhism, his strength is extraordinary. If the Wutai sect had not been wiped out earlier, Xianzhenzi fell, the ascetic Tuchuo was seriously injured, and Qi Shuming himself lost his body and had to lick his wounds behind closed doors. I am afraid that this would have been blamed on fellow Taoists. Su Junming nodded slightly. Thank you, fellow Taoist, for telling me. If I encounter Yimei again in the future, I, the Chongshan people, will definitely be careful. Li Jingxia smiled and did not continue the topic. When the two parties meet for the first time, some things can only be touched upon. If you talk too much, it will be unsightly. Two fellow Taoists, are you going to establish a dojo in Snake King Temple? I'm just settling here temporarily. The foundation of my Chongshan lineage is the academy in Chang'an City. That's good. You two don't know that Snake King Temple is the dojo of the Hesha Taoist priest among the three immortals of Kunlun. Although the three of them have ascended, the disciples Zongnan Sancha and Dafang Genren Yuxiu are still there. If they come to the door and say that the two Taoists have taken over his uncle's dojo, and spread the word, it will be detrimental to the two Taoists of good reputation. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 578. Back then, Zhu Chezi occupied the golden whip cliff of Meiguan Taoist Si Taixu and Wu Li. No one dared to say anything, let alone an uninhabited Taoist temple, the Dragon Emperor said coldly. Li Jingxia showed a hint of embarrassment on his face, as if what he just said was unnecessary. Fellow Taoist, don't get me wrong. My junior brother is taciturn and likes to speak directly. He is not targeting you, he is just a little unhappy. Fellow Taoist doesn't need to explain, Li understands. And compared to those flatterers with smiling faces, it is a straightforward person like Taoist Long who is more worthy of friendship. Having said that, Li Jingxia didn't say any more sensitive topics later. After the three of them had a brief discussion, he took Lu Min and his daughter away. Su Junming and Long Di personally sent the two of them out and watched the light disappear into the distance. How credible do you think what he just said is? The Dragon Emperor's tone was filled with the usual indifference. No matter how trustworthy he is, as long as you and I are strong enough, even if people from Yimei and Buddhism collude, they are nothing more than chickens and dogs. Turning to look at him. I really don't know whether you practice 5 elements Tao or Sword Tao. You always like to go straight. I'm just telling the truth. After that, he turned around and walked towards the Snake King Temple. Looking at his back, turned around and looked into the distance, Su Junming had a faint smile on his face. A whisper drifted away in the wind. I also like that strength can crush everything. Fishing in Aoji in the East China Sea. Zhuqing tied my head with white silk and sat quietly in front of Master's soul. Although the 3-year period of filial piety has passed. But as the eldest disciple of Xianzhenzi, this was the only way he could think of to express his respect and admiration for his mentor. Suddenly, a trace of spiritual energy fluctuated, making Zhuqingguo turn his head subconsciously. Looking at the middle-aged man walking outside the door, wearing a green suit with 3 strands of long beard on his chin, he quickly stood up and saluted before. Disciple Zuch warned me to pay my respects to the master. Qi Shuming sighed. It's really hard for you. One sentence almost made Zuch Jingguo shed tears. After patting his shoulder, Qi Shuming took 2 steps forward, picked up 3 incense sticks from the incense table, lit them, put them on his forehead, bowed 3 times, and inserted them into the incense burner. After a moment of silence, he turned around and sat down. After signaling Zuch Jingmi to sit next to him. Elder brother can have a successor like you. He must be alive in heaven, and he will also feel happy. This disciple only regrets that he is not strong enough, otherwise he would have used the 3-foot sword to wipe out all the scum of the Wutai sect and fulfill the master's long-cherished wish. Qi Shuming nodded slightly and looked at Zuch Jingguo, who was filled with resentment. His eyes moved slightly. Warning me, you are the head of the 3 generations of disciples of our Ime sect and the future head of Ime. Don't let hatred obscure your vision. The Wutai sect has dispersed after the death of Patriarch Hunyuan. Although the remaining people are still there are quite a few, but they won't make much of a commotion. So, don't pay too much attention to them. On the contrary, those powerful evil sects are the ones we want to eradicate next. This is also our Ime's responsibility as the leader of the righteous path. Zuch Jing-I took a deep breath. What the master taught me is that the disciples will remember it. You can teach me, boy. After a pause, now that your master's 3-year period of filial piety has passed, staying here will not be beneficial to your cultivation, so my uncle has a task for you. It just so happens that you can go out and relax. Please give me your instructions, master. Do you know that Tishu, the disciple of Jupanpo, the leader of the naked cult? I know. This woman is the eldest disciple of Po Japan's sect, and she is very powerful in magic arts. This woman is currently in Shaanxi and Gansu leading the search for boys with roots to practice the most vicious evil method in the naked sect, the 9 sons of heavenly demon. I want you to take care of this matter. Don't worry, master, my disciple will behead Tishu. After the death of my beloved master, Zuch Jingguo, who was deeply hurt, is now filled with rage. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Your biggest task is to stop this woman from continuing to commit crimes. As for whether you can kill her, that's secondary. Yes. By the way, if you meet other righteous friends, you can invite them to join you in slaying demons. Zuch Jing-I didn't hear the strangeness in Qi Shuming's tone and quickly agreed. Watching the flying light flying out of Diaoyaji, a Taochuo wearing cassock suddenly appeared next to Qi Shuming. Junior brother, can this plan work? At the worst, it will make Chongshan Academy and the Kaizhong sect become like fire and water. If the second patriarch of Chongshan destroys the Kaizhong sect, the Taicheng mountain lineage will not let them go. They bite dogs and a few teeth will break. The ascetic Taochuo raised his eyebrows slightly. Amidba. Junior brother, senior brother has only one disciple. Do you have the heart to let him follow Ruan Zheng's story? Moreover, Chongshan Academy is not old man Shivi, and true Lord Chongshan has no children. Senior brother, since Zuch Jing and I are my disciples in Ime, I have to contribute to the great cause of our Ime leaders. Senior brother will not hesitate to kill Tai Hunyuan Patriarch, and his disciples are certainly no exception. And this time there is no return. Even if Zuch Jingmei dies in the future, I will personally take him back to Ime and rejoin the road. As for the final result, even if it is not as big as Ruan Zheng's role, it will still disrupt the internal atmosphere of Chongshan Academy. It would be great if it can cause internal divisions. Qi Shuming had a look of determination on his face. Amidba. I hope that my 2 junior brothers, Zhu and Bai, will go well on this trip. The majestic Kinling Mountains stretch for hundreds of thousands of miles, connecting Kunlun in the west and Hubei, Henan, and Anhui in the east. There are no less than 100,000 large peaks and giant mountains, and there are even more nameless peaks. On the northwest edge of the Kinling Mountains, there is the top of an unknown hill. A stream of light flew from afar, like a falling star, and went straight into the hands of an old man wearing a white robe and possessing an immortal spirit. After the light dissipated, a piece of letter appeared in his hand. After reading it, the old man in white lit a fire in his palm and burned the letter to ashes. Junior brother Chi Fijian passed the message. Zuj police, my boy has already arrived from Diaoaji and will be in the northwest in less than 3 days. Let us act according to the plan. The short old man wearing a grey robe next to him heard this and said, "That's good. White Shorty, you stay here and wait for Zuj. I'll join the drunkards and lead the little girl from Chongshan Academy to Snow Lotus Valley." Just as Zumei was about to leave, she saw the old man frowning and not responding, and couldn't help but be surprised. "What's wrong with you? Do you think it is against chivalry for us to go to such great lengths to plot against 2 little girls? Even if we succeed, will such may be able to lead the people in the future? White dwarf, when did you become so pedantic? Since ancient times, there has never been a king in the world who can only rely on powerful force. The right way is to use both kings and tyrants, each with his own ingenuity. Otherwise, the world of spiritual practice is so big, with millions of monks, and just relying on us and our reckless cultivation, we will not be able to make the Ime leaders work together even if we try our best." Bai Gai's expression changed, and finally he sighed. His expression became determined. "You go ahead and I'll guide Zuj. I told you not to be stupid and ruin junior brother Chi's plan. Don't worry, I know the severity." After Zumei saw that he didn't seem to be lying, she took off her light and flew towards the north. Bai Gai shook his head slightly and fell silent.